Hi, YouTube. YouTube's on. All right, YouTube's on. All right, so I'm playing around. Testing, testing, testing. I've been trying out Twitch. I think I want to try to do this stream on Kick. Just trying it out. Nobody's going to watch this. Nobody's going to watch this but me. So it really doesn't matter. Twitch or Kick. I think I'm going to try both by the end of the night. I'm really curious how hard I can push the 14900. Really curious. I think I'm just going to do Kick just because. I don't know. I don't have a reason why. I don't know that I can do both. But I've been hearing some crazy stuff about Twitch. Not that it matters. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. All right. Let's try Kick. All right, I hit start. Connecting. Ready to accept the stream. All right, Kick error, failed to connect to server. All right, that answers that. Okay, cool. So, got to figure that one out. Probably do it tomorrow during the day. Let me start Twitch. Connecting. Ooh, interesting. Twitch failed to connect to server. Kick failed to connect to server. Although Rumble and YouTube are up. I don't know. I don't know why. Screw it. I gotta figure it out later. We're just gonna move on. Error. Failed to connect to server. Probably check URL and stream keys. But not now. Now. So the mosque is not normal. And I'm way over my head. So I think before I continue, I just don't know what to do. And then watching House, something else is like he talks about this Suits. There's way more to the story. So I'm gonna try to look some lore videos up. And we'll try to figure out the mosque. All right, so I don't know which one of these to believe. I don't know which one's real or official. None of it's official, right? Because it's a mod. I don't know. All right, but I found one. SKG Unknown Games. Let's watch it, and then we'll give it a thumbs up.
In the icy silence between Siberia and Alaska lies an island long forgotten by history books, but not by those who understand what truly happened there. This is the story of Namalsk,
There's the three southern
an island haunted
islands,
by Cold
three
War
southern
ambition,
mountains.
rogue science, military secrets, and something far
the
more
island
alien.
to the right.
This is not just a survival tale. It is a chronicle of human obsession,
And there's
of
the north.
mistakes, and of consequences that echo across dimensions. The Cold War casts its long shadow. In 1952, the Soviet Union discovers a mineral-rich island in the Arctic corridor, Namalsk. Isolated, strategic, and resource-heavy, it becomes a critical outpost in the global power struggle. Mining towns Bryansk, Norinsk, Vorkuta rise quickly. A rail network slices through the ice, hauling coal and rare minerals. Military installations follow, fortifying the island's newfound purpose. But Namalsk hides more than minerals. In 1968, the Soviets construct a hidden facility beneath Mount Vorkuta. Officially, it's the Athena Research Institute. Unofficially, it's something far more secret.
That's in that picture.
The Namalsk Anomaly Center, NAC. Their goal? Investigate strange, rhythmic electromagnetic signals from deep underground. Signals that feel designed. In 1983, a Soviet drill hits something alien. Beneath Namalsk's southern plateau, they uncover a crystalline, pulsing, partially organic monolith. Object A1. Attempts to access it fail until it activates on its own, emitting controlled radiation bursts. It begins responding to specific energy signatures. By the 2000s, scientists make a chilling discovery. Object A1, when charged correctly, opens temporary wormholes to unknown locations. The Athena complex expands into 3 key zones. Athena 1, wormhole testing chamber. Athena 2, energy coordination and data analysis. Athena 3, emergency fallback in deep observation.
I've heard A1, A2,
but the
and
tests
A3.
unleash side
I've heard
effects.
that.
Violent electromagnetic storms,
So
radiation surges, and mutagenic phenomena. They name them EVRS, electromagnetic vortex radiation. Amid growing instability, senior researcher Dr. Pyotr Malinov issues a warning.
That's a good video.
They're feeding it power it cannot handle. I won't be complicit. He disappears soon after. By 2007, Russia attempts to shut NAC down, but the institute resists, bribing officials, embedding itself into the population. Protests erupt. Russian forces retreat. Namalsk slips into isolation. Then in 2010, complete silence. All communication from Namalsk vanishes. April. Russia sends a Spetsnaz unit to investigate. Their final transmission from Lieutenant Dmitry Sobolev. We found it. The gate is real. There's something on the other side. We're pulling back.
What?
Static. The unit vanishes. July 9th. Operation Reclaim. Captain Viktor Pekharov leads another Spetsnaz team south. They encounter horrors. Infected civilians, radiation-scarred corpses,
That's where
and
it
invisible
came from?
creatures dubbed bloodsuckers.
It's a psionic thing?
July 10th, 2:36 a.m. A catastrophic EVR burst erupts from Object A1.
So it's not like a virus.
Over 4,700 die between Namalsk and Kamchatka. Power grids collapse from Alaska to Russia. The anomaly has gone critical. DEFCON 2 is declared in the U.S. The 32nd Marine Expeditionary Unit, led by Captains Ryan Gobin and Mark Wilson, is dispatched. 2 new players emerge. 1, the Night Stalkers, a shadowy private paramilitary research group. They've been watching Namalsk for years.
I gotta watch this
Their
again.
elite team
Why?
includes
I'm thinking about that and I'm
Tamika
missing all
McLemore,
this. This is so
Michael
deep.
Zaitsev, Peter
Okay.
Trepov, Maxim Solov.
What is going on? They're so okay. Let me watch that part again. Right, Object A1 in the wormhole. 4,700 die between the Mal and Kamchatka power grids collapse from Alaska.
To Russia. The anomaly has gone critical. DEFCON 2 is declared in the U.S. The 32nd Marine
Because of the
Expeditionary Unit,
power?
led by Captains Ryan Gobin and Mark Wilson, is dispatched. 2 new players emerge. 1, the Night Stalkers, a shadowy private paramilitary research group. They've been watching Namalsk for years.
So it goes critical.
Their elite team includes Tamika McLemore,
And it's like
Michael Zaitsev, Peter Trepov, Maxim Solovyov,
just
Commander
turns
Alex
people-
Novikov. NAC, Namalsk Corporation, no longer a scientific outpost. Now a rogue organization experimenting with interdimensional technology hidden behind civilian fronts. They've seized Namalsk's south. Tamika McLemore lands covertly at Lubyansk. His orders: gather intel, avoid conflict, but Namalsk is a nightmare. He witnesses the undead zombies attack Russian soldiers. Bloodsuckers haunt Vorkuta. EVRs sweep the landscape like temporal shockwaves. Tamika learns the truth. NAC controls the EVRs, but more terrifying is how their soldiers move through it, untouched. They wear APSI suits, anti-psionic systems interface, armored exosuits lined with neural dampeners and internal radiation shielding. Their helmets glow with cold blue light, suppressing the mental chaos of the storms. Designed to block psionic feedback and sensory hallucinations, the APSI units are as silent as they are unstoppable. Tamika recovers one from a fallen operator near Vorkuta. Alongside it lies the ER-7RFW, an experimental electromagnetic rifle. Nicknamed the Gauss rifle, it launches rounds using magnetic acceleration,
I've never seen that.
emitting a high-pitched hum as it charges. Lightweight, recoilless, and pinpoint accurate, it's designed for combat in zero gravity or warped atmospheric conditions. Armed with these, Tamika becomes more than a scout. He becomes a threat. Commander Novikov leads a Night Stalker assault south toward Athena 2. Despite NAC's EVR defenses, the team pushes through. Their goal, disable the source and secure intel. They discover July 10th wasn't an accident. NAC triggered the burst intentionally to eliminate Russian forces. July 11. Captains Gobin and Wilson parachute west of Sebyan Dam. Separated, they reunite amid chaos. After surviving NAC ambushes, they infiltrate shelters, stealing sensitive documents. The intel confirms Object A1 is generating EVRS. NAC uses radar arrays to track targets and launch bursts. Disabling the radar cost Mark his life. Gobin is gravely injured, but rescued by Night Stalkers. They contact the USS Cold Acolyte to coordinate a multinational counteroffensive. Russian, American, and Night Stalker forces unite. From north, east, and underground, they converge on Object A1. Captain Petrov's team leads the charge. As they approach, a massive EVR surge erupts. Petrov is knocked unconscious and wakes up under a different sky. Strange stars, a towering gas giant. A carved stone reads HR 8799B-129 light-years from Earth. Back on Namalsk, the clock runs out. 7:37 July 13th. The Russian submarine SCAT IER-2 launches a nuclear missile. It strikes Object A1. October 15th, 2011. A man wakes inside a steel shipping container, dazed and disoriented. His name is Alexei Yeremayev, a scientist once affiliated with Vladivostok University. But his memories are fractured. 2 years of his life, gone. He steps into the ghost city of Primorsk, western Chernobyl. The streets are littered with corpses, abandoned military checkpoints, medical crates from Venice marked for emergency use. Something catastrophic has happened. Then comes the shriek. A woman, infected, charges him with terrifying speed. He pulls a weapon from a dead soldier, fires instinctively. She falls.
That's the gun. He can't
Alexei
get it.
flees north. On Borny Hill, he surveys the
where
land.
is he?
Forests, abandoned towns, and the ruined castle of Bestez. A torn newspaper from October 2nd, 2011 reveals the horror. A viral outbreak that ravages the mind, turning humans into monsters. Only a rare few seem immune. One word haunts him in the article: Namalsk. While scavenging for supplies, Alexei meets a survivor, Krista. She's cautious but talkative. She believes they're both immune. She tells him the world has collapsed, and rumors swirl about a conflict between NATO and CSAT. They share a fire, but peace is short-lived. A black helicopter roars overhead. Soldiers in experimental armor descend. Krista is killed. Alexei barely escapes. Wounded and paranoid, Alexei is picked up by a CTRG unit, Sock and Fox, led by Captain Ryan Coben. They don't trust him, but they recognize his expertise.
All these players.
Their vehicle is ambushed. Alexei escapes again, but his memories begin to return. Flashes of a lab, a gas giant in the sky, a swirling wormhole. He was part of something far bigger. Near Grozovy Pass, Alexei leaves his final journal entry. My battle is lost, but they cannot hide this forever. The virus has not come from Earth. If anyone reads this, get to Namalsk. The answers are there. I know it, because I am a Namalsk survivor. CTRG Captain Natanya Kaitner shares her own account. Originally investigating DPRK activity, her mission pivoted the moment the Namalsk explosion occurred. Footage recovered from NAC shows Object A1 stabilized, a wormhole created, a drone passed through. What they saw was not Earth, it was Lantia, a distant moon orbiting a gas giant near star system HR 8799. In the aftermath of the nuclear strike, Task Force Bering is deployed to Namalsk.
I've seen that before.
But their presence ignites a new conflict.
I've seen that.
On July 21st, 2011, CSAT forces stormed the Athena Institute, killing 41 Russian soldiers.
Jeez.
The TF Bering base on Shemya Island is overrun. Intelligence leaks suggest CSAT and DPRK may be aligned with remnants of NAC. Kaitner returns to Namalsk to investigate, but disappears shortly after reaching the Skat-12 submarine. Enter Captain Adam Walker and his crew aboard the Phoenix. The Phoenix wasn't just a rig, it was a fortress adrift in ice. Rebuilt from a decommissioned semi-submersible oil platform, it housed a full 3D printing lab, encrypted comms array, and a hardened hull that could survive EVR pulses. It was the Night Stalker's last ship of safety, and soon the launching pad for mankind's final crossing, a mobile oil platform in the Bering Sea. When global communications fail, they respond to a distress signal from Namalsk. Trekking across frozen terrain, they find the abandoned SKAT-12. Inside, Kaitner, barely alive. They rescue her. She warns, the virus that destroyed the world began with Namalsk. They set up base at Tara Harbor, but NAC finds them. An ambush kills half the team. The survivors flee, and the bridge collapses, leaving only Walker and Kaitner. Walker and Kaitner discover what NAC hid from the world. Using flax capacitors and alien blueprints, NAC had built Athena 3, a new facility capable of creating wormholes independent of Object A1. They named the moon on the other side Lantia. They established a foothold, Pallas Station. Missions LNT-M001 through LNT-M009 explored its surface. Gravity was lower, radiation was higher. The keyhole, a spiral crater, suggested ruins of an ancient civilization. Then contact ceased. In their last transmission, Pallas scientists reported 3 red objects descending from orbit. Radiation levels surged. Voices echoed through the wormhole. The gate collapsed. They called them the Lanterns, the original architects of Object A1. NAC believed they had been watched. The red objects were not a greeting, they were a warning. We tampered with technology we didn't understand. We opened doors we couldn't close. And the ones watching us have responded. Object A1 may be destroyed, but Athena 3 remains. And so does the gate to Lantia, August 2011. Deep space telescopes across the world register a strange object approaching Earth. It is not a comet, not a meteor. Its shape resembles an interstellar vessel. The media dubs it Arrakis. By the time authorities react, it's too late. The object burns through the atmosphere, scattering high-altitude particles. Within days, cases of violent neurological breakdown appear in Guangxin, China. People lose all rational function within minutes. Then they turn. The pathogen is named VEG-7, a trineural virus unlike anything in Earth's databases. It spreads on contact. Symptoms manifest in under an hour.
VEG-7.
Victims become erratic, aggressive, and cognitively vacant. Only a fraction of the population shows signs of immunity. But where did it come from? Classified NAC logs reveal the truth. Vega 7 was carried aboard Arrakis. The missile wasn't an attack. It was retribution, or perhaps containment. September 20th, 2011. The day the world ends. By dawn, major cities go dark. Military command structures crumble. Airports shut down. Quarantine zones collapse. The virus leaps oceans within hours. Survivors begin counting from that day. Day 0. NATO initiates Operation Eclipse. Russia deploys its final air fleet. China retreats behind defensive megawalls. None of it matters. Namalsk's connection to the event becomes undeniable. Across fragmented radio networks, one word spreads in panicked whispers: wormhole. October. High orbit satellites capture an anomaly forming above the North Pole. Red auroras twist unnaturally. Magnetospheres destabilize. The remnants of NAC, once believed defeated, reactivate a wormhole from Athena 3.
That's so cool.
Only this time, they don't send probes. They send people. Lantia, a desolate alien moon, orbiting a gas giant. Atmosphere toxic, radiation extreme, and yet, signs of civilization.
Can you get back?
Those who cross through the wormhole see ruins, symbols, structures half buried in dust, technology fused with geology. Some believe it was the Lantaran homeworld, others a prison. What is clear is this: something still watches from the shadows. In the final connection through Athena 3, 3 survivors managed to broadcast one last signal. We found something. It's alive. It sees us. The transmission ends. Back on Earth, VEGA7 mutates. It is no longer viral. It is psionic.
That's what I thought,
November
because they
10th,
all got
2011. Natanya
at the
Keitner
beginning.
makes her last log entry. 52 days since
So
day
these
0.
creatures just came.
Humanity is splintered. Vega 7 is rewriting brains. The wormhole is locked. The Lantarans are gone, but their legacy remains. We tampered with the stars, and the star answered. Task Force
I'll
bearing is
say.
lost. NAC is silent. The Athena facilities are buried, flooded, or sealed in EMP glass. But fragments of tech remain. Blueprints, suits, unspent portals. Those immune begin
Blueprints.
gathering in whispers, calling themselves stalkers. And on a world half dead, under skies forever red, the question remains: will we learn, or will we open the gate again?
Dude, what? All right, let's do it. It actually.
And
So yeah,
All right, this has got 20 minutes. Okay, what? So, they found this thing. And they messed with it. And it destroyed the world. Cool. So I think Lantia. All right, so I got 20 minutes till this starts. Let's do this. Namalsk lore. I think I just watched that one. Oh no.
You went to hell, and it sure ain't finding its way back anytime soon. People turning on each other,
No.
things wandering around.
This isn't good. That guy did a good job. Thumbs up that. This is too long. 35 minutes. I need something like.
well, hello, my fellow survivors. It seems that Namal's Content Update 3 is about to sail into our sunset.
Okay, so the booming is that storm. There's just so much. I don't even get it. Okay, but the story helps. All right. Hop in and see where I left off. All right. I don't really remember. All right, a car. Yep. Oh. Oh. Okay, so the meat doesn't go away. Dude, this has been here. Oh my gosh, it's been here a long time. Okay, cool. Good on food. Alright, got SK. My awesome jacket. Okay, all this is worn. That's fine. Okay, yep. Nice. What was I gonna do? Where am I? Alright, I need to look at the map for a minute. This fox headdress. Alright, so I know there's containers up there. I was just looting those containers. I wanna go check out that submarine and the oil rig. Dude, that's gonna take forever. While I'm here, I might as well loot a little bit more up that mountain. Because there's containers. Alright, so that's what I'll do. I'm gonna drive up to the top of that mountain. I'm gonna chill up there. I'm gonna get gas. And I'm gonna see what these containers are all about. Alright, I got a plan. I gotta put that tent in here. Where's it gonna go? Oh no, I got stuff in it. I got nothing in it though. What's in this? Bunch of food. Could leave the tent here. No, I can't do that. I know I'm not staying here anymore. What's out there? What is that? It's not on this map. I think that's Lantio. The crater. But that's just where it is on the map. Oh, it's frozen. So I would have to thaw it out before I ate it. Well, I'm good. I'm good on food, though. Let me swap these guys out. And then eat this one. I could get a heat buff too and just warm up some of the fat. Oh, I'm gonna keep this just in case they get cheeky. And we gotta stand on business. Alright. I just keep thinking about, like... Dude, could you imagine? How would you figure all that out? You can't. Did the time stop when I left? That's crazy. No. I think it did. I think it would have had to have. Oh no! I ruined my jacket. Oh, that's great. Mile marker 15. Say it better. Ruin my shoes too. God, we got 3 minutes of that show. I'm gonna have to do a quick bio break. I cannot wait here. Yeah, I'll be right back. right, a minute to go. Let's get that buff. All right. Okay, blow my nose. I'll be right back. Alright. What's that fire doing? Think any more wolves are coming? I don't think so. Even if so, I've got plenty of food. I mean, I still have to cook on any amount of principle, you know, because they would definitely eat me. Uh-oh. I don't think it's gonna work. Okay, I haven't figured out this mechanic yet. So don't put it in there. Now put it in there. And then F. Okay. No plus? How do you get a plus? Is this single shot? Was it 308? Can I swap these out? Oh, that's huge. What is it? Oh, no, not yet. CR, whatever. That's fine. I'll never find it. All right. There's 308. Yeah, only 308. All right. Let's get out of here. Yeah, I just can't handle that. Alright, so we're going through this little port town. And then that's A2. Alright, so then I need to pay attention to that. So I go through this little port town. Port town first, bunch industrial and farm. Stay straight, gas station all the way through. Easy. Until it's not. Let me zoom in. I love this music. Oh, it reaches my soul. Yep, all the way through, clean. And then at A2, I got a left hand. I got a hard left. Okay, A2 is in the valley. Okay, big military at A2. Hard left. I remember coming through here. Oh, it was a nightmare. I got lost. That was easy. Ooh, there's a container. spawn. I don't know where though. Should I get out and check? Would I see them? I'm gonna crash. I'm trying to look at them. Okay, so at the so after A2, left, hard left A2. Then the road will come to a left or right. Left is the only road going up that mountain to BKL01. Let's see if we can see the crates from up there. Oh, this is so engaging. Ooh, he's scanning. What's up there? Oh, that's just snow. Okay, here's the left. All right, easy. Easy enough. It's gonna be windy. I wonder if a regular car can make it up here. Dude, it's stupid that I found this vehicle. Stupid too, because I would never be able to do this on not a private server. It would take me, I mean, I'm gonna try. But I think I could make a career out of it. Just Namalsk. Not dying in the first hour with other people. You can't even go this fast on any other server. Well, maybe this fast. I got up to, what, 130 in Chernarus? In the Hummer? Dude, this road. Okay, and then I'm going to come to a left and a right. I can go either way. I'm going to go left. Or right, it'll spawn in Z's. Let's go right. Screen just turned brightness. Screen just changed brightness. So the thing that bangs, I don't think it's anything coming. I think it's, I don't know, whatever it is, it hurt half my health. Maybe when it gets dark is when it opens up. I don't know, I'm stupid. How did I get hurt though? Alright, we're gonna do this. Here he comes. Just gonna park here at the G station. Oh! Wild, just like that. Bro, they're coming out of the woodworks. It's a blood bud. I'm gonna blood on the screen still. No damage. We won't go away. I got a lag. Dude, there's so many. Dude, how would you... You'd have to, like, come here super stealth. Like, you cannot come rolling into this place. What's this called? BKLO1. Look at the lads. They're dancing. Right? Massive lad. Is it a blizzard coming? I can't tell yet. I don't know if it's just bad weather or blizzard. I don't know how to... Oh, it's getting louder, for sure. That door doesn't open. Another tent. Dumb. Oh, there's a sheet metal. Oh, this is a legitimate tent. Bruh. Well, don't mind if I do.
Good, right where we need you guys. And let's check this. That was good. Just switch here, so.
Hey, to you in the audience, I apologize.
So, Christian nationalism is bad for America. That would mean, Casey, you're the affirmative. Are you cool going first then?
Totally.
Okay. And
It's okay.
My lighting's all packed up, so my lighting's fucked up tonight.
What I'll do
It's
is
okay,
in just a
Andrew.
moment I'll start this.
We forgive you. We love you.
I have to plug into the router.
You will decimate.
Risky business.
Yeah, my lighting's all messed up because
It's okay.
I'm moving.
Much grace.
Don't get all upset with me, guys.
Grace upon grace, brother.
It's all packed up. It's all packed up.
Grace upon grace. Take a deep breath. You got this.
I'm literally lighting myself right now with a lamp. I just like found a lamp randomly.
I love
over
lamp.
here, and I just set it up next to me so you could see me. I love lamp.
You just said that?
I
Did
love
you hear
lamp.
me? Did you hear me say? I about choked on my tongue. I mean, we're the same age. Wow. Anchorman? Yeah.
So first, they won't see or hear us yet. This is
They're
just
like, we
a
can see less of you. Do
stream,
that in the future.
just to be sure the connection's good.
We can see
Then
way less.
I will play like a 15-second ad for DebateCon, and then I will do basically I'll say, "Hey everybody, tonight we're debating Christian. Whether or not Christian nationalism is
I'll
bad
be
for
thinking for
America."
everybody.
Right now with Casey.
Glug, glug,
Wilson,
glug, 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 glug,
the floor
glug.
is all yours. And
I'll be
obviously
fake in front of
welcome
everybody,
Casey.
and I won't let
You
people know
just
who
start
I
your opening
am. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Like, totally. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah, totally.
Because who's the real person? The one that talks like this, or the one that talks normally?
Flip that on.
Oh.
Here goes that ad.
Noise. Noise.
Cool.
Totally.
And then in about 12 seconds, I will do that cold open. Thanks for being here, guys. This is fun. And
I gotta get rid of the blood off the screen. It's just gonna drive me nuts. Been me one time before, and
That's guts, bro.
it was very early on. I thought it was normal. I was like, dude, it just keeps getting worse.
Nationalism is bad for
Blah, blah,
America.
blah, 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 blah.
With Casey Malone.
Oh, blah, blah, blah.
Thanks for being with us. Casey, the floor
Key.
is all yours.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, first and foremost, to Modern Day Debate for hosting this, and to Andrew for participating with me. This is my first official debate, so let's get into
Let's
it.
go,
I guess
girl. Good for you.
Starting with a fairly agreed upon definition of Christian nationalism as a social movement toward Christianity becoming the dominant social and cultural force in the United States.
Who's trying to do that?
Which would then become the exclusive influence of governance. My argument
It already
that
is.
Christian nationalism is bad for America is pretty simple. I claim
Especially in
it's
America.
a misdirection from the
It already
root
is. Look at the
cause
founding
of
documents.
economic
Look at
anxiety
Articles of
and
Confederation.
instability for everyday citizens,
Read the
which is
state's
actually from the
constitutions.
system of capitalism itself. As of right now, 62% of citizens self-identify as Christians, and 87%
Read the
of
Declaration.
Congress members do. If they
I gotta
want
get this blood
cultural
off the
dominance,
screen.
they
Is there anything
have
up there?
it, and yet people are still struggling in a housing market, job market that's not working for us. Food prices are skyrocketing, but Christian nationalists want us to be afraid of secularism and people who aren't their preferred kind of exact Christian, rather than a system that relies on exploiting the religious identification, or lack thereof, of all of us. And in the scope of westernized nations, the United States is like one of the highest rates of both Christian religiosity and economic inequality. And I don't blame Christianity for these issues, but it's clearly not the solution. And I don't mind what the majority of people's religious beliefs are,
Yeah.
but the system of capitalism is still not working for any of them
Oh,
either.
nice.
Christian nationalism is bad for America because it doesn't address any of this. And at the core of most Christian nationalist
Yeah, it
arguments
does.
is the idea that a shared societal morality can only be like unified if it's dictated by one divine ruler. And I would counter that with the idea that I think everyday
All of
Christians
reality.
maintaining some of the same morals
Not just
as myself,
morality. All
such
of
as
reality.
walking in love, caring for the poor, etc., are not following those morals because
Unjustified,
their
they
religion
are.
tells them to. I think they maintain those morals because they see value in them, as evidenced by the thousands of Christian denominations that all argue over the correct interpretation of this
Those
supposed universal truth. And although I could argue that these same values are derived from the evolutionary drive innate within all of us to protect the species, and especially the next generation, the young, I'm not actually concerned personally with whether Christians or anyone who's religious want to label the source of their morality as divinely
I've never seen
inspired.
this before.
That's fine. I care more
How
about
big is it?
seeing the applications of these shared human values,
Oh,
and
it's,
Christian nationalism does
it's
not
not bad.
showcase that at all. It is focused on a fear-based perspective of people who do not fall in line with the resulting conformity of everyone believing the same thing,
I'm getting
which,
cold.
by the way,
It is a
not
blizzard.
a rational world to live in or to ever expect to exist in the first place. The beauty of the human spirit is that there will always be a plethora of different backgrounds, experiences, and even, beliefs. And I don't think that's ever going to change, and Christian nationalism doesn't account for any of that. So in that sense, it's not only bad for America because it's too focused on problems that don't actually mean anything productive in the material world, but it's also completely irrational. If Christian nationalists truly believed moral decay came from turning away from God, they might consider that the greed of corporate capitalism and these corporations and these billionaires is the most consistent violator of their proclaimed Christian ethics. And
Radio
instead of confronting
control
a system
panel.
that thrives on debt, overwork,
I have said too
between us all,
much.
individualization, all of it.
You've got the power
Christian
now coming
nationalists
for
would
me.
rather blame secularism or feminism or gay people or anyone who doesn't fit their mold of moral purity, because the movement of Christian nationalism relies on exclusionary principles against people who believe differently, which has time and time again proven to lead to the exclusionary distribution of resources.
She
which
can't
is
even
what
say that
really
that's
matters
bad or
here.
not.
The whole
Is that
concept
wrong?
tells the hardworking everyday people in this
So what?
country that their enemies are people who have different religious or ideological beliefs, when it's really the economic design
No,
holding
she's
them and everyone else back from their
misrepresenting
own
Christianity.
health and happiness.
Dope.
The social
Sorry.
movement I would rather
Steel
advocate
man.
for,
No.
which we can design together, is one focused on material
straw man.
economic justice
Straw
for
man.
everyone, Christian
She's
or
creating a
otherwise.
straw man.
I am focused on the shared humanity
not
of
what Christians
everyone on this
believe.
planet. I do not care who you are, what you believe, what you look like. I think you matter, and I think you deserve equal access
Got
to
it.
housing,
I got
food,
it.
shelter, and healthcare. While I'm here to argue that the social movement of Christian nationalism is bad for America, the individuals who identify as Christian
But you
nationalists,
haven't.
Andrew here included, are
You haven't said what
not
bad
my
is.
enemy. The system of capitalism is.
Thank you very much for that opening
Another
statement. And folks, if it's your first time here at Modern Day Debate, I'm your host, Dr. James Coons. We are a fully neutral debate platform. And if you didn't know, as you can see at the bottom right of your screen,
Nice.
DebateCon, our two-day
Okay,
debate
okay.
conference in Nashville, is happening in, it's just roughly 3 weeks. Folks, get your tickets at the link in the description box. As you can see at the bottom right of your screen, $239.99 for the starting. And now this is something really special for tonight. We're actually doing a promotion. So just for 72 hours, if you use this code that you see at the bottom right of your screen, namely 25LIVE, you'll get 25% off your ticket. This is only for 72 hours, and we're trying to keep this private just for Andrew's viewers and Modern Day Debate viewers.
Yo, another
Get
one.
your tickets now using this promo code. With that, we're going to kick it over to Andrew for his opening. Thanks for being with us. Andrew, the floor is all yours.
You guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Perfect. My opponent tonight has an interest.
I swear I just heard voices on
Are
here.
reductionists is that Christian nationalism or Christian populism leads to fascism or forms of fascism. Interestingly enough, when somebody says fascism, which is now a loaded word, it brings to mind ideas of things which are very dystopian, doesn't it? Brings to mind the idea of oppression by the state, for instance. Things like checkpoint
Oh, I
IDs
hear that
by
noise.
the state and show us your papers, like what the left pushed during the lockdowns with COVID passports and COVID travel papers. Even COVID work
think it's
permits
coming.
with the suggestion of not being able to travel without your papers being cleared by the almighty state. It brings images of
I heard the
forced
building.
garment wearing by the state in order to single out people who
Yep.
might push against state authority, like the secular leftists did with mask mandates.
Very quietly.
Gives the idea of the state shutting down your business or place of worship whenever they want, like the leftists did in their leftist states during COVID-19. It brings into your head the idea of people having food shortages and processing issues and restrictive medical care, like what the left demanded be imposed during COVID-19. Which is why it's interesting to me, leftists never want to talk about what a fascist state looks like, because it brings up memories of what these fucking lunatics did to us during COVID-19. Eerily similar, isn't it? Instead, they focus on total degeneracy restriction as being their pathway to have you believe fascism is right around the corner and the evil Christians are going to deliver it. In fact, this ideology of my opponent is so weak and Christian nationalism so easy to defend, all I have to do is use two words: us too. She says, we want the authority to decide the curriculum of what children read in public schools. Great, us too.
Good
She wants
point.
control over who gets married and who doesn't. Oh, us
I do.
too. She wants to decide what the future looks like through legislation of laws which affect everybody.
Sure.
Us too. She wants to determine what behaviors are state protected and which are hateful. Oh, us too. She wants to reduce harm based around a particular worldview. Us too.
Yep.
She wants to have legislation around abortion using the state. Oh,
Us too.
fancy that. Us too. She thinks only her side can rule morally and set an agenda which
Us
benefits everyone.
too.
Hey, us too. She thinks her ethical system is superior and wants to impose it via legislative bodies.
Us
Hey, guess what? We want to do that
too.
Everything she wants authority for, to legislate for, in her worldview demands one thing: power. We also demand to have power and legislate for our agenda. And that's it. It's really simple, isn't it? We can also use two other words to describe this phenomenon from leftist
I don't think I
lunatic
named
fascist
these.
baiters. The two words are, oh no. You want to legislate there are only two genders. Oh no. You don't want males playing in female sports? Oh no.
Oh no.
You don't want to stop mass migration? Oh no.
All right,
You want to ban abortion except in life-saving scenarios? Oh my God. Oh no. You want to ban porn? Oh no. You will ban 18-year-old girls from sticking objects up their
Oh,
assholes
no.
online for money? Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Will you stop these pervy old men from fapping to these girls in their basement by banning the source? Oh no. Oh no. While my opponent attempts to vilify my worldview with these things, just note, these are their actual complaints.
He's so
Not
good.
the dystopian things you would think they would try to push, but rather just righting the wrongs of current secular leftist policies. Yes, secular leftist policies. Yes, I'm sorry, under Christian nationalism, the days of mass degeneracy pushed by leftists will unfortunately be over. My God, those insane fascists. How will we ever get by without mothers across the USA having to beg their daughters to not get gangbanged by five guys online for money? I'm totally sure everyone's going to miss that. And that's all this ever is. It's freedom to do the most degenerate shit possible. They don't actually care about the
And they want you to like
dystopia
it.
because they never talk about it. Because there isn't one. And when there was,
And
it was
give them
them imposing
approval.
it. That's what's
And
so
saying
funny.
that what they're doing is
They only
good.
care about the right of a man to eat another man's ass and get monkeypox on their face because that's America and that's freedom. Well, I'm very sorry, but the adults are here now, and unfortunately, the party is over.
Party's over.
I'm very sorry we have to ruin your fun time destroying everything we love and being a bunch of fucking scumbags, but we're going to have to, and there really isn't anything you can do about it ultimately because people don't want to live like this anymore. Christian nationalism is the proposition that Christians maintain moral majorities and dominance in culture. Because of that, your super fun degen time is unfortunately over. We have every bit as much right to rule from our worldview as you do yours, and there's nothing you can do about it anyway. You demanded a democracy, and that's what this looks like. This is what democracy looks like.
Tell me
Social
what
movements
democracy looks
where
like.
Christians are in dominant political and social power structures. I agree with her to the definition. She's worried about Western income inequality. Interestingly enough, she says we need to address millionaires and billionaires. Where was she addressing the billionaire NGOs who just funded the No King's Day riots on the first round? Where was she when they funded the No King's Day protest most recently? Hundreds of NGOs backed by millionaires and billionaires. I got all of their names here. There's hundreds of them. Did she say
know
a
what?
word
Let me
about
log
it?
out and clear
Probably
that blood
not,
off.
because, well, that's justice. As long as the millionaires and billionaires are doing what they want, they don't give a shit. She says, well, there's thousands of flavors of Christianity. So what? There's thousands of flavors of secularism, too.
No, there's not.
She
There's
doesn't
one.
care if our morality is divine. Great,
One.
it is. Fear-based. She says we have a fear-based perspective. What is she doing here? She's telling all of you to be afraid because the Christian nationalists, evil Christian nationalists, aren't going to let you be communists. That's it. They're not. I believe when she says equity, social justice for all she's saying is that she's a tanky commie, probably, or something akin to a tanky commie, right? That's what they all are. It's irrational, she says, because of corporate greed. We just addressed that with the millionaire and billionaires. The social movement that she wants is economic justice for everyone. What does that even mean? We never know. They're very vague about it. They live in the ambiguity of language. Equal access to housing, food, and health care. Well, what's the plan for that? She doesn't know, right? They never know. They want to have the conversation about it. What conversation do you want to have about it? Can you give me a PowerPoint plan for how you're going to give equal access to housing, food, and health care to people? No. You just ignore how the world operates. Unfortunately, the adults are now in the room, and you're going to have to deal with it. And the idea of the social degenerate paradise that all of you dumbass leftists always are advocating for is now coming to a close. And that's my opening statement. I appreciate both of your time showing up to this debate.
Thanks for being here as well and for that opening. Folks, a couple of quick housekeeping things before we jump into the open dialogue first. We have a new Facebook page. Check the Modern Day Debate Clips Facebook
it's
page
so
out. That's
creepy.
pinned at the top of the
All right,
chat,
let me
and it's linked in the description
let me get out
box. And not
and
only
get this
that,
blood
but
off the screen.
very excited if you are like, oh, I would love
Oh,
to
the
listen to
voices.
I just want a piece of the action, but I'm in Australia, Antarctica, wherever it is. Check out the Indiegogo crowdfund. You can get a signed photo of your favorite debater. With that, we're going to swing into the open dialogue. Thanks very much. The floor is all yours, Casey and Andrew.
Yeah, so I'm happy for you to go first with your cross-examination, as I'm supposed to be defending Christian nationalism here, and then I can go with a cross-examination a little later in the debate if you would prefer, to be the most charitable I can possibly be.
Yeah, clearly that was incredibly charitable. That
Well,
was fascinating.
of course it was.
Thank you for that. That was a lot. It's interesting. Like half
Okay,
the
well
things
then, you know what?
claimed I
Hang on, I'm
said-
sorry.
Never
I'm
mind.
sorry, then fuck you. I
Pound
won't be
sand.
charitable, and we'll just get into the debate.
I was just playing. It's
No,
okay.
I'm just playing too.
You were calling
Hey,
calling
I'm just
yourself an
playing
adult,
too.
and I'm
I'm
an
just playing.
infant.
I'm
That's
just-
fine.
I'm
just
and
playing.
if you're going to
Um,
act like one, I'll treat you like one. If you want to
just
have
playing.
an adult debate and you want to do a cross-examination, I'm here to do it. I didn't interrupt your opening
I
statement.
think it's interesting because there are a lot of things that you claimed that I said, which I didn't say at all. I didn't use the
Never
word
claimed you said
fascism.
any of these things. You
Yeah,
used
you said
fascism
I
in your
used the
most
word
recent.
fascism.
Would you like
I
the
did not-
video where you just most recently said
Well, but it wasn't in my
link?
opening statement.
It doesn't need to be in your opening statement for me to know your worldview inside and out. You recently released a video where you claimed that Christian nationalism leads to fascism. True or false?
I think that
True or
Christian
false?
nationalism
True or false? Start with
leads
that.
to the lack of awareness about economic inequality in this country, which does result in a
Good.
fascist authoritarian personality.
So it leads to fascism?
No.
Did I just say that? Yeah,
Yes.
I think it leads to
Yes.
fascism, but it's
It's
not
so
So then what
loud
did I
now.
get
that
wrong?
Christian ethics lead to fascism.
Then what
I
did I-
think that when we use Christian nationalism
Can't even hear
as a
myself
social
think.
movement
It's
to
so
distract
loud. I gotta turn
everyone
it down.
and claim all this moral panic and this moral outrage, I didn't bring up half the things that you talked about, and I hardly
I
ever
don't
touched
need
on a
to.
lot of those topics.
Do you realize that my job here is to defend my worldview? It doesn't matter to me that you don't bring up those arguments. What matters to me is how I defend my worldview. I'm explaining that,
Against
expressing
what? An
that your
offense?
worldview,
Against an
that your
offense, which
worldview,
would be
your
me
worldview led to all of
presenting
these
something?
things. Your worldview led to all of these things. Your specific harm reductionist worldview. You want me to prove it? I'll prove it right now.
That's
Let's start
okay.
with this. Abortion. Are you pro or against abortion?
I'm not gonna
Pro-abortion,
do
right?
tit for tat like that. I think
You're
that
not
the
gonna-
question
you're
was,
not gonna
is
tell us?
Christian nationalism bad for America?
Uh-huh.
The answer is yes, because
Why?
I don't think it's going to.
Uh-oh. This is the storm. It's
Talk about
here.
on other platforms too, that the 300
Yo.
thing in Christendom might be, and I think that that's not living in reality. The idea
Sorry about your
that
feelings.
thing is not even in the first place. I'm over here trying to communicate that there might be a situation that can believe different things, but focusing on the fact that we still all have.
Okay, now you know what? Let's start with this. In your future that you're advocating for, can 18-year-old girls stick things up their ass on OnlyFans? Can you answer my question?
You know what?
Can you answer my
You
question?
care- I'm getting there.
You're never gonna answer the
actually know
question, you're
that
just gonna
you have a
filibuster.
I know that you have a very serious problem with mass pornography and the exploitation that comes with it, and I actually do
Just
too.
waiting for the
but
answer.
I don't think
One.
that
Yes
the
or no would be
problem
fine.
of mass. I'm getting there.
Two.
I thought this was us talking
If
about
you
our
could just,
ideas.
it would be great if you would
So
just actually answer the questions, like
the
I'll
fact
do you.
that there is such a high religiosity
Four.
in this country, as evidenced by.
Are you
so
going to
many different
outlaw
programs.
18-year-old girls sticking things on their ass
So
on
I'm gonna
camera
wake
or
up with
not,
half
lady?
health.
Answer the fucking
I
question.
understand.
Can you
It's
answer
okay
the
to get
question? Oh my
emotional.
God, it's going
It's
to be
okay
a
to get
filibuster
emotional.
debate.
It's
Whole
totally
debate's
okay.
going to be just be you
So every
filibustering.
Feel your
storm
feelings.
Answer the
Calm down.
question.
Takes half of your
Answer
health.
the question.
I didn't notice that.
The mass
Answer
production of
the
porno-
question.
So I'm gonna wake up
Hold
yellow
on. All right,
health.
Is
now
it
let's
in
hold on
your
1 sec.
future, are you going to outlaw 18-year-old girls sticking shit up
No, of
their
course
ass
not.
online so that men can
You do
fap
whatever
to
they
it for
want.
money or not?
Are, Andrew,
Answer the question.
this is
Okay.
such a
Answer
I didn't die.
direction
the
of what I'm
question.
trying to talk about.
Answer the
The
question.
problem with the mass
Answer
pornography
the-
industry is not about
Last
whether or not
time.
18-year-old girls are putting whatever content they want online.
Are
The
you going
the
to ban it
problem
or
is
not?
The capitalist nature.
Are you
of the
going to ban it or
exploitative
not?
Of
industry.
course not. They're going to
Are you
incentivize
going to
it.
ban it
What's
or
your problem
not?
with it?
I want
No.
you. No, thank you. My God, you said the word no. Oh my God, I can't believe you were able to do that. Yes,
Hey,
that's
I
the
recognize
future.
your
Thank
feelings
you.
And I validate them.
Thank you. The thing is, you
Does that
should
feel
validate
better?
them. I'm
Do you feel
glad.
better?
You should just said no and
That's
spared
great.
us all your stupidity. No.
Okay.
So the thing is like, oh, I'm going to. Tell me why I'm wrong.
Wrong about what? You didn't.
I'm
make a
if
statement.
I'm the unilateral president and have all authority in the United States, I'm going to ban 18-year girls from stuffing shit up their ass so that old men can fap to it. Why am I wrong?
Why are you wrong for
Yeah.
banning it?
Yeah.
I think that you're misdirecting the entire conversation toward a random offshoot argument about something that has nothing to do with
Can you
the
answer
full
my
root of
question?
Has
whether-
everything
It
to
does
do
go
with
to
it,
the
lady.
core
I
root.
am
It's talking
answering
about
it.
our ethical
It's not.
systems.
Okay, the ethical systems of what? The ethical systems of individual liberty. Is that what you're trying to get at?
Yes, so I'm saying to you. So
No, it's
my
not gonna
ethical,
be-
my ethical system. I follow
There's no
Christian ethics.
I
I
have
believe
no
rights are
concept-
social. I believe rights
Okay.
are complete social constructs, totally socially constructed. So
Totally.
if this is the case, and morality is subjective, I have as much right to rule from my worldview as you do from yours. If that's the case, all we can do is look at prescriptions for the future. If it's the case that the effects of the prescriptions that I want are better for society than yours, you should actually adopt my worldview. So tell me why I'm wrong for stopping 18-year-olds legislatively from sticking stuff up their asshole online for money. Why is that wrong for me to do?
Because you can't say it's wrong.
Those are two completely separate conversations.
they're
You're
not.
Nope.
talking-
Same conversation, lady.
Take deep breaths. I know you're getting emotional, but
You usually
you're
look like the
talking
one who's
about
just
whether or
lost. You
not-
don't even know what I'm
you're
saying.
talking about whether or
Yeah,
not
she
it is
lost as soon as
ethically
she
wrong
started
for someone to
talking.
post content of whatever they want online. In the same breath, you're talking
wanted to
about two
smoke.
different ethical frameworks coming into play, and you're talking about
You don't
these
have
as
an
if there's-
ethical framework.
The ethical framework is shared human values, which we can all collectively agree upon
Nope.
together. Your ethical
So
framework.
if we
is yours
collectively
alone.
agree that we can molest
Congratulations.
children, is that good?
That's right.
We won't.
Is it
Oh,
good
but
if we
people
did?
do.
That's insane.
Is it good if
No.
we
But
did?
people
no,
do.
Okay, but it's
You're
just then
talking
your
about-
shared ethical framework now makes no sense. I
Nope.
thought you just said as long as there's a collective
Who
of
teaches
shared
these
social
people?
frameworks, we
You're
come up
totally
with the
trying
ethical
to do
system.
this whole moral panic thing, and
Logic.
you're doing the slippery slope where it's like,
There's
oh,
not a
well,
s-
if we have,
is that a
do you-
slippery
Dude.
slope or a
so-
direct
so
question?
With
I
your
just
wonderful, perfect, amazing
got
Christian
destroyed by that
ethics, does that
fire.
mean that any
Yeah.
premarital sex, like, you know,
Mhm.
actually, can I just say something first of all?
You've been saying a lot.
Totally
Yeah, no kidding.
fascinating how absolutely obsessed with sexuality you are. Like that. That's
Are you
cra-
gonna?
I
You're here to
didn't- I
psychoanalyze me?
I
Are you
barely
gonna
mentioned
psychoanalyze
sexuality.
me,
I
Freud?
talked about economic
Are you?
instability.
Are you gonna
I talked about
psychoanalyze me,
people not
Freud?
getting the food and the shelter and the
Yeah.
clothing that they need.
That's
And
nice.
you're like, but what about OnlyFans?
That's nice.
a crazy take.
No, it's
That
not.
Has
It's a
nothing to do with
it's a
what I was talking
comparable. What
about.
we're doing is we're trying to compare the effects of future ethical systems. The future ethical system that I have, where I ban all this
But
degenerate
it has
shit.
nothing to
It
do.
does, because I think your only complaint with my system is that I'm not going to let the gays eat each other's asses anymore. I think that that's literally your entire problem. Is I don't want people to stick the pee in
No,
the
my
poo-poo.
entire problem is that is your focus, and I don't think it matters as much as everyone getting enough food.
It's one
Oh, well,
focus.
that's great. I'm glad they.
He's highlighting the
is-
point.
Who's
It's so
starving? Who's
fascinating, but a
starving in the
lot of-
fattest country in the world, lady? Who?
It's so fascinating.
Who's starving
that-
in the fattest country in the world? Who?
I'm sorry, what?
This is the fattest country ever. Who's starving here? In fact, if you
Nobody.
can tell me one person starving right now here in the
Okay,
United
for
States,
health and
I'll go
wellness.
get him a food. I'll get him. I'll reach to have a meal right now, right this second
That
live.
would be great, Andrew.
Tell
I think
me
that
one.
At the end of the day, the economic inequality in this country is incredibly greater than a lot of other westernized nations. That's totally verifiable. You can do a
That's not
quick
what you
Google
just said.
check.
You just said that people don't have
It is
access
what
to
I said.
food, and they do
Economic
have access to
inequality.
food.
They do not.
Yes,
Snap
they
just
do. Yes,
Snap
they
just
do.
got totally defunded or whatever.
Oh
you
my
wanna call
God!
it.
You're not going to
Or
be able
whatever.
to go buy fucking gallons of cherry Coke and down it by the mass anymore with your SNAP food benefits. Oh my God! Oh no! Oh no!
How
No,
callous
no.
are you?
That's
to the
not
people who
callous.
are to the
That's
people who
not
are
callous.
struggling in this job market. In this
Don't need to
housing
be eating
market.
that.
I get it. I get that this is your.
Is that it? It's just moral.
that's-
It's just moral outrage from you the entire time. How callous are you, Andrew? Where's your empathy, Andrew?
I have moral outrage.
Yeah, tell me
That's
where it
your
is. Tell me where it
that's your
is.
Entire basis
Can you
for your
tell me?
platform.
Can you tell me where it is? No, the entire basis for your
It
platform
is.
is moral panicking and saying that people aren't getting enough food. They are. They are getting enough food. We're fatter than we've ever been. What are you talking about? On top of that, I would like for you to tell us if you have a
You and I-
proposition that's going to be more morally comparable going into the future than what I propose with Christian nationalism, and just told you all of the things that I'm going to ban. If you have a society that looks better than that one, tell me what it looks like. Go ahead.
A better society than the one we have now, which is essentially Christian nationalist. Congratulations on
How?
that front.
How is it Christian
Um,
nationalist now?
Because they have
not
the
at
social
all.
and dominant, the social and cultural dominance leading to that sort of governance.
Then how come porn isn't
Congratulations.
banned? Is that because that's Christian? What
That's a
Christian
great
nationalists
question.
want?
There's been extensive studies about the nature of a repressive society that bases everything on the exploitation of, guess what, capitalistic systems in order to push out as much porn as possible because they don't care about who's being exploited and about what 18-year-old girls are online or about whether or not kids.
What?
can
Neither
see
do
the
you.
porn.
You just said
They
you wouldn't
didn't care
ban
about
it.
any of
You
that.
just said you wouldn't
They
ban
don't-
it. You
they
don't care either.
I'm
You
working
don't
in your
care either.
ethical framework right now. I'm working in your ethical framework. If you
Okay.
can kind of keep up with that.
Okay, I'm trying.
So, according to your ethical
Truly, your intellect
framework,
is dizzying.
all of these things are totally, unacceptable, and I can agree with some of those points, right?
Yeah.
But the reason that we have such a huge industry of porn in this country is not because of secularism. It is because the system of capitalism, with no checks on the corporations that push
Incorrect.
out all of this porn, is able to just go unchecked.
She doesn't
That's
know
what
what
it
she's
is.
talking
It's
about.
capitalism once again.
So it's
So
not
you're
because a bunch of
trying to
leftists. So it's
moralizing-
not because a bunch
You're
of.
trying to moralize
Yeah. So
something that is
hang
an
on.
excellent-
I just let you talk. I didn't interrupt. So let me ask you this, because this is really weird. I could have sworn that it was a bunch of leftists who were demanding that porn be unbanned under Larry Flint. And the entirety of the case around him, and that it was part of women's sexual liberation and secular leftists who were pushing that women's bodies were allowed to now be freed. If they wanted to show them to everybody for the exchange of money, that was their business. I didn't know that had anything to do with Christian nationalism. Where was Christian nationalism saying that pornography was okay, that the exploitation of women was okay, that young girls would be allowed to undress on camera to lecherous old men? Can you show me any Christian nationalist movement which has ever made such a proposition, or one that does right now? Anywhere, ever?
First of all, I didn't blame Christian nationalism. Second of all, I am okay with the concept of people posting whatever they want online as long as there is not an exploitative system behind it and there are checks to protect children, to protect workers, all of it. Okay, the concept of people doing whatever they want is great, but now you're getting into the
I don't
concept
think
of
it's
what
great.
the point of governance is in the first
Yeah, I
place.
don't think it's great though.
Nope.
I don't think that the concept
That's
of
fine,
people
so don't consume
can
it.
people
I'm-
walk
I'm-
around naked?
What?
Yeah, they can
Yeah,
do whatever they
that's what I'm
want.
asking. That's what I'm asking you, like sincerely, just
No,
for a basis.
no,
of,
people can't walk around
of
naked. No,
definition
that's
is
right.
The point of governance. Like, what do you
Yeah.
think the point of governance
The
is?
point of government or governance is to have an imposition of the ethical framework and system of the people's demands, generally, at least under a democracy.
Okay, I can kind of agree with that. Like an administration of the collective will.
Under a democracy, yes. Other
Under a
forms of
democracy,
government,
right.
that's not the case.
Totally fair. Totally fair. Okay, so your question was, what, can people walk around naked?
Yeah,
well,
and
the
your- and
collective
your-
will says no.
Okay, but in your
most
framework,
areas.
So if
But
the
I am
collective
totally
will
okay with,
says
like,
it's
you know,
okay to
closed off 18
do
plus
XYZ,
nude
then
yeah,
it's
yeah,
okay to
great,
do
great.
You know,
XYZ.
That's fantastic. But here's the thing, right? If the collective will changes, right? Because secular
Like it does
leftists
all the
say-
time.
yeah, it's because secular leftists say, you know what? There's not actually anything wrong with adult men and women walking
Why
around
isn't it
naked
going
in
to
the
my
street.
sling? Oh,
Right?
it's
This is like some
ruined?
archaic Christian nonsense.
How is it
right?
ruined?
So we want to change that so that people can walk around naked. In that case, if that were the case, let's say in 20 years, 30 years, something like this, I can show you states where it's the case now. Would that
So
be
as long-
something you would
so I
be in
gotta take this
support of
stuff
under
out.
your system?
First of all, the Christian ethical framework also shifts.
That's
so I think
why.
you're proving the
No, it
evolution.
doesn't.
Yes, it does.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it
The
does.
Orthodox
The
Church hasn't
dominant-
changed in 2,000 years.
Um, the expression of Christian ethics 100% has shifted over time.
Yeah, because a
It
bunch
has.
of lunatic
leftist.
leftists have been infiltrating
Feminist.
the churches for the
That's
last
right.
40 years, saying things like, "Oh, LGBTQ is fine. Put rainbow flags up and
Yeah.
shit like that."
Yeah,
Not
sounds
because
like maybe there's
not
not
because-
a universal truth.
Not because Christians themselves. You just said that you didn't mind in your opening statement if I think that all laws are divine and that Christian ethics are divine. You had no problem with it. Now you have a problem with universal truth. Is it a universal
I don't have a
truth?
problem with
Is
it.
it a
I don't have
universal
a-
truth that men can be
I
women?
don't have a moral problem.
Is that a
with
universal
it.
truth?
I can still think it's completely irrational.
Yeah, is it a universal truth that men can be women? Is that
I was
universally
wondering when
true?
you would get to that. What are
Is
we,
it is that
33
a,
minutes
is
in?
that a universal
Okay.
truth?
What's the question?
Can men be women?
I think people can be whatever they want.
Oh.
Now, the real question
Yeah.
I'm
Okay.
asking,
Got
and
it.
I will answer
They can
it
be
this
whatever they
way,
want.
is
This is what you're offering. All you're literally offering is
no,
degeneracy.
I'm not
That's it.
offering. Yeah, I know. I love. You can call whatever you don't like degeneracy. I know that's your thing. But what I'm talking about
what
is
do you
I'm
call
not
degeneracy?
advocating for the
She doesn't.
importance of. I'm not advocating for the importance of people's consenting adults' sexual actions in the privacy of their own homes to matter when it comes to whether or not, again, Christian nationalism is bad for the country. Not because I think Christianity or I think everyday Christians are at fault for everything wrong
Why
in the
is
world.
it this?
But it is
this
the movement
damaged?
as a social movement is a complete distraction
Did the
from
storm
all
do
of
that?
the actual issues that we are not. Here's my question. I like sincerely, if the dominant social movement or like the dominant social and cultural force in this country were atheists, do you think the corporations would still act the same way, or would they probably promote more like atheist, whatever? Because you're talking about all of these ways that secular leftism has
I'm
infiltrated
tearing my stuff up.
everything, and I don't
can't get
think
close enough to
that
this
is
thing.
necessarily because anyone out here is like, oh, we're trying to take away the rights of Christians to work. I think it's because corporations will do whatever they can to profit, period. And so the values system that I am promoting, the ethical framework that I am
hang on.
promoting,
Can we back
is a
up real
people
quick?
over profit.
Wait a
People
second.
over-
I'm
let me just
actually
finish.
confused here. You don't think that secular leftists have been trying to make it so that right wingers can't work? Are you serious?
Can't work? What do you
Yeah.
mean?
That's what you just said.
What do you mean? I don't know what you mean. Can't
Well,
work.
for instance, leftists are the ones under the secular framework who claimed for years that the ideology of the right was so dangerous that they needed to be deplatformed, depersoned, debanked, not allowed to have any sort of voice in the mainstream at all. That was your secular framework. That was all secularists doing that, not Christian nationalists. Christian nationalists were the ones who said you can have a platform. They were the ones who were guarding your speech, not secularists, not secular atheist lunatics. They weren't doing that at all. They were deplatforming everybody who was on the right, especially during COVID-19. Remember, there's misinformation. A lot of it wasn't misinformation. They deplatformed them anyway. Under Joe Biden, they did the same thing. The Biden administration went to Facebook and many of these other large tech corporations, and what did they do? They said that they wanted these people deplatformed. They wanted them removed. They wanted all of this removed for, quote, misinformation, when a lot of it wasn't even misinformation by Facebook's own admission. That wasn't Christians doing that or Christian nationalists doing that. When they do boycotts, when Christians do boycotts, they do product boycotts. I've not seen yet where Christians are specifically going after people. Clear up until Charlie Kirk was assassinated. It's the only time I've ever seen Christians say, you know what, if you're going to celebrate that on camera, then we'll inform your employer. It's always been leftists who've done that.
So again, I did not blame Christians or Christian nationalists for any of that. I would encourage
Then
you
it's
to
your
consider
fault. I'm
why-
blaming you guys for that.
Yeah, no, I know.
That's the
and
point.
that's a
I'm blaming
scapegoat.
you guys.
I'm telling you that the actual issue here, the people that you really need to be blaming are not secular leftists, whatever
They're the
that
ones
means,
demanding it.
but it's the corporation leaders
Oh, it's
who are
the
the ones making
corporations.
it happen.
Yeah, well, let me ask you something. On your corporate YouTube channel, right, which is run by a
Totally fair.
megala
No,
gazillion,
I know where you're
gazillionaire
going. Totally
corporation.
fair.
Can I just
No,
ask
you
you?
and I-
Hang
you
on,
and I
can
are
I
incredibly
finish now?
privileged
Can I
in that
finish now?
sense.
Can I finish?
Totally.
So the thing is like, okay, so you on your gazillionaire-owned, bazillionaire corporate Google-owned, do no evil YouTube channel where you preach this communist bullshit. Did you make a single video about the hundreds of NGOs which funded No King's Day? Even one?
That's my point, Andrew. My point is that they will back whatever dominant social movement because they don't give a crap. Sorry.
You
I'm
left. That's
sarcastic.
leftists.
They don't care about what actual beliefs are. They
That's
don't have beliefs.
secular
Their
leftists.
only value is profit.
That's
So they don't
secular.
care.
Listen, that's a secular leftist movement for the same things that you're talking about: equity, egalitarianism, equality. That's what No King's Day was all about, right? It was
I'm
this
telling
massive,
you that the corporations
multi-million.
don't care.
Yes, I listen. I agree that
I don't
there's a
understand what your
profit.
point
I
is.
agree that there's a profit motive. I'm asking who's actually the one utilizing it. It's not our side. It's your side that's always had the corporate donors. The corporate donors
Hold on,
are
hold
always
on.
behind
That's
the
an
gay
insane
rights.
take.
The corporate
There's
donors are always
so
around
much-
your shit.
There's so much verifiable evidence of televangelists getting bukus of cash. That's an insane take. Both sides are equally okay. I
No,
don't
they're
know
not
equally, but
equally.
They are totally both funded.
No, listen.
They are totally
The
both funded
distinction,
just
the
fine.
distinction
I would love
between
to see
left
your
and right.
stats.
Yeah, okay. Here, I'll just give you one. Again, the last No King's Day. Would you like to go through the list of over 500 NGOs which assisted with the funding of that?
What about the actual verified all of the cash flowing into all of the right-wing commentators online
From who?
from right-wing
some.
organizations?
From grassroots people who give them tons of money. Which actual
that's-
organizations are you talking about? Now, if you're talking about like the AIPAC funds, and when right wing groups are getting money from from Israel and shit like that, totally agree. That needs to be cut off immediately. Under Christian nationalism, it would be. But the left, they're also getting tons of money from Islamic groups like CARE and others who are on the Palestinian side of the conflict being exploited just as much. And that's still not even the big corporate donor money, which, by the way, is influenced by academia. Most of the way that corporations utilize their think tanks in order for profit motivation or to understand profit motivations, they use what? Sociological studies. Academics are the ones who provide that for them, and the left is in charge of academia. Yeah, I don't think that the utopia that you're promising us here under your secular ethics, if that's the case, we see it right now and it sucks. It sucks. Look, the idea, hang on, I'm almost done. The idea that we can't, for instance, implement bans on pornography, that we can't, for instance, say, okay, when it comes to marriage, it's between one man and one woman because we want to see the birth rates heightened. The fact that we want to eliminate mass migration into the nation, which is to the deficit of almost everybody, right? These are things that we're proposing. What even are the things we're proposing that you have a problem with here?
Okay, going back to everything you just said, I'm pretty sure all of it can be traced back to still the value ethics of profits over people, which I'm not arguing is Christian or secular, okay? I'm not arguing that it's any religious or otherwise, alignment there. But the profit over people is totally why, whatever you were saying about academia.
Then what's the
getting
argument against
funded by
Christian
X, Y, and Z.
nationalism?
The argument is that it is a distraction. As a social movement, it is
It's
keeping us all distracted.
That's
you
it?
and me both, babe.
That's
Yeah.
it? It's just that it's a distraction?
You're out here so focused. I'm not like you're out here so focused
Yeah.
on two men having sex that you refuse to. I don't think I've ever seen any clips of you talking
Yeet.
about and people need to be able to eat and people need to be able to be sheltered. Okay, you are much
Oh,
more concerned
snow.
with sexuality, and as if that truly is the root problem of everything going on.
Yeah, I think
that's insane.
I think that social degeneracy is one of the prime reasons you see such failures in society. And so here, let me give you an example of this. I think you're focusing actually on the wrong things here. In the fattest country ever, you have access to food in the United States like nothing else anywhere on planet Earth. I have no idea what the hell you're talking about here. When you're saying that there's economic inequality, right? The reason that that's so ambiguous is because, like, what would you even do? Let's say that you wanted to start a business. How would you even be able to do that without having startup capital, which you could borrow at some kind of interest rate? You couldn't even do it. It's not even possible. It's how we beat the communists, by the way, because their whole idea was that they would reduce your access to capital. And that's how people get out of the poorhouse. That's literally how they do it. So the question to you is this. It's like, okay, great. Let's just cede the worldview for a second and say, Christian nationalism is a distraction from what, though? From what?
What do you mean from what? I've just been saying it this entire
Yeah,
time.
tell me. Give me
Everything
one
that you
issue.
keep
Let's go over
pointing
one
out.
issue at a time.
Mass pornography is not, unsafe for kids. Well,
What?
it is,
Wait,
but
what?
it's not- Calm down. It's not unsafe for kids.
You're gonna
because
get
of social
clipped.
degeneracy.
You're gonna get clipped.
That's totally fair.
You're gonna get clipped.
It's not unsafe for kids because of social degeneracy. It's unsafe for kids because these corporations have been allowed to propagate this content without any checks, without any regulation. It is totally unchecked capitalism.
They're
Period,
completely,
full stop. They
corporations are
profit over
totally
people.
regulated. What do you mean?
Okay, so, but I'm
Corporations
saying
are
that
heavily
it's not
regulated.
because we're out here being, you know, wanting to do, let's go do a sexual degeneracy. What does that even mean?
Okay, so what do you?
No.
Okay, but do you see how you're not really answering? It's just ambiguity again. So it's like,
not
okay,
ambiguity.
hang on,
I'm clearly naming the
hang on, can you
issue.
calm down for a second? It's total ambiguity. You're like, okay, look, this corporations, they're a problem. Okay, great. What the fuck do you want to do about it? What are you proposing we do about this?
I think, like, okay, so you talk about a social ideological movement that kind of bands everyone together. We get all unified, all of that. Conceptually, great. I think we need to maybe focus on the actual issues at hand and use the system at. There's a million different ways to like attack the angle. I'm not an expert on that part, but I would say that starting with the reshift of everyone's focus away from what everyone's doing in the privacy of their own homes and into, hey,
They're not doing
we
it in the
have these
privacy of their
issues.
own home.
Nope.
And by the way, if you're doing drugs in the privacy of your own home, we regulate that too. We can regulate behavior that you do in the privacy of your own home. You can do black market stuff in the privacy of your own home. What's your point? Like,
You're still doing
that's
it.
that's silly.
You're
That's still silly on its
redirecting.
face. But I would like to know specifically, corporation evil. Give
We
me
need more
specifics of what you're going to do about this.
We need, at the very least, more social welfare programs, and
So
I know
higher
that that's been
taxes.
So
you just want higher
on the
taxes?
top percent. You know what? You know what I love about most
And who's-
Christian
and
nationalists
okay,
I
who
don't-
are the top
hold on,
percent?
Hold on. I've let you talk a lot.
Yeah, who are the top percent?
A lot of the best the you know the main arguments for a lot of Christian nationalists I've seen is like, well, what about the economic prosperity of the 1950s? What about everyone having, you know, more, mostly white people, more access to homes
Damn
and
those
all
white
of this
people.
stuff and all
Damn
of
them.
this stuff? And they're not including the 91% tax rate of the top tax bracket in this country into their equation. And they're saying, well, what's different? What's different now?
That's
The lack of
because
taxes on
I'm
the
sorry
rich,
to be the
period.
one, the bearer of bad
Oh, I'm
news
sure you
on
got
the 91% tax argument from the left, but almost none of them paid it. Sorry to be the bearer of bad news. Almost none of them ever paid it. And you know why? Because they're the ones
That
ultimately.
seems incredibly convenient.
Well, the thing is like, isn't it? And this is why. It's because right now in government, and
Capitalism.
your great. No, it's not because capitalism. It's because
It is.
inside of your great democracy, what's happened is this. In democracy, you can't tell people that they can't accept money to run for office. You can't tell them that they can't do that because it's democratic. You can do what you want. So here's what happens. These lawmakers in Capitol Hill, they don't actually make any laws. They're lawyers, but they don't make any laws. What happens is they have a think tank of lawyers, and those think tanks, they write all the laws, and then they hand them to their legislative body. The legislative body goes and makes a proposition. Then other think tanks take a look at it and go, okay, well, let's take a look at this, dot an I, and cross the T. And most of the time, those think tanks have corporate donors, right? And you have corporate donors behind it. What system would you ever propose that would get rid of that? Having a top-tier marginal tax rate, which, by the way, it's a marginal tax rate. It's like you get above $1 million and then it goes up. You get above $1.5 million, it goes up above that. Get above $2 million, it goes up, right? Until you get to 91%. And by the way, that would be a drop in the bucket as
No,
far
it
as
wouldn't.
yeah. Okay, you want to do the math? You want to do the math of what our GDP looks like? All right, our overwhelming GDP and what it would look like if you had a marginal tax rate on if you made over $4 million for today's adjusted currency. If you taxed it at 91%, it would be a drop in the bucket. It wouldn't address any of these issues. So even if you tax the rich at a marginal tax rate where you hit that margin and then you go past it, it still wouldn't address any of those issues. It's not enough money. It's not enough money. You know how much
the
we spend on
very
Social
least-
Security? How much we spend on Social Security? It's the largest spending that the United States does. It trumps the military. It's like, yeah, I don't think you have any idea what you're talking about when it comes to social safety nets and how much money you actually need here.
Well, it'd be a much better use of our money than the industrial military complex. I'll tell you that right now. But
Nobody's
at the very
disputing
least,
that.
Andrew, I totally appreciate. Yeah, exactly. I totally appreciate that you're at least talking about the economics of this country and what actually matters for the everyday people. as
Talk about
opposed
it all
to
the time.
What their neighbors are doing.
I talk about, listen, the funny thing here is like, do you think these things aren't intertwined? OnlyFans is a multi-billion-dollar operation full of corporate donors, including the guy who owns it, who gives money to NGOs who influence Congress. Why do you pretend? Hang on. No, don't babe me. Don't babe me, honey. Listen, so that you understand and note that these are all intertwined. The social degeneracy is as much intertwined with the various ideas of these think tanks influencing government as economics are. The social fabric itself, though, the only thing that could ever stand up to any of the things you're talking about would be the family unit. That's it. The strong backbone of a central dynamic of a family unit. How do I know? Because it's the only thing that ever did. It's the only thing that ever did. And you scoff, right? You think that alternative family units and things like this are going to somehow what? Help you stop the corporate oligarchy? They don't give a fuck. They can't wait for you to bring in more mass migrants so that they can exploit them. They don't give a shit. That's why Bernie Sanders said that mass migration was a thought process of the Koch brothers, because they wanted to exploit cheap foreign labor, and that's exactly what they've done.
So your answer to all of this, the corporate greed and all of these exploitative practices and everything, is a mom and dad and 2 kids. That's your answer for the economic inequality that people that you are listening to this right now.
Yeah.
They're struggling in a job market.
Yeah.
They're struggling in a housing market. You think a better family unit is gonna help everyone do better? And
It's going to help everyone do better.
Continues to pay them less while expecting more for their rent.
Oh, the
That's what you
system.
think is-
Oh, the system's doing that.
fascinating.
Here's what's.
You know what I?
Hang on. Do you want me? I thought you wanted me to answer. Oh, okay. Go on your diatribe. Go on your diatribe. Come on. Tell me how you're going to fix it with communism.
I respect the viewers and the people who are listening to this a lot more than to say like, hey, actually, if you just have sex with this person, all of your problems will be okay. No, I respect our viewers a lot more than that, and I think that they deserve to band together and understand that collectively we can focus on more programs and social safety nets that will allow them.
You can't
to
collectivize
breathe.
if you don't have shared social values, lady.
The shared social values is. I've been laying them out this entire
No, we
time.
don't
The
have the
shared
same.
humanity.
We don't have
We're
the
more
same
focused
shared
on
social
providing-
values. We
we're
don't.
more focused on
How are you
telling-
going to include
on
me?
telling
I
the
don't
difference.
share your values. I don't want any of the
That's
things you want.
literally
I don't
what I'm
want
saying.
any of the things you want.
You are so
How
focused
are you supposed to
on
include
everyone's
me?
religious differences.
Uh-huh.
You are so focused on everyone's religious differences that you refuse to operate from a perspective, from a starting point of shared humanity, and that we are all in this together.
Let's start-
Honestly, at the end of the day,
Let's
end of the day,
What?
that's the difference between you
I
and
see.
me.
I see. So I'm supposed to have an arbitrary axiom that you made up, which is shared humanity, whatever the fuck that means, completely ambiguous, doesn't tell us any complexity
The
of any
question
moral
is
system.
Christian
My turn.
nationalism bad?
My turn.
And I said yes.
My turn. So anyway,
Totally.
it's completely ambiguous. Completely ambiguous. Shared humanity means nothing. It doesn't mean anything.
You're
Yeah,
on
hang
here
on.
all the time.
Can I get
saying
2
that
seconds?
That
Can I
rights
get
are
2?
social constructs.
If that's the case, then if
You're
I
always
want
saying rights are social constructs.
and if that's
so
the
you
case,
can't argue
yeah.
that I'm being ambiguous about social constructs.
Wait,
That's
I'm
not
sorry. If you
appropriate.
want shared humanity as being a starting axiom, I think you better fucking explain it. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I think you
okay.
better do that. Yeah.
So shared humanity, what are
Uh-huh.
all of the actual things that we all deal with? Not whether or not someone wants to have sex with this person or this person or whatever, and all consenting adults, da 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 da. The actual shared values that we all have is, hey, I want to feel safe, I want to be fed, and I want to participate in a meaningful way in a society, aka
Those aren't
a
shared
fulfilling
values we all
job.
have. You just
Nope.
made it all up.
That's it's a, but at the very least, it's a much more shared value system than whether or not there's a God, than whether or not
What?
homosexuality is a sin.
You can't justify
No.
that.
100% more unifying.
most
and
of
you're
the
focused on
most of
more
the world
divisive concepts,
most of the
period.
world is much more unified under the idea of God than whatever crazy system you just proposed. For instance, there's 2.5 billion Christians, right? You know how many secularists there is when we compare it to Islam and then other religions? Religion is the dominant force for shared values, not
Yeah.
secularism. That's one. And two, you're still
It's
being
absurd
completely
claim.
ambiguous. And when you gave me all these things which are shared values, they're not shared values. I don't share.
totally are.
You can't collectivize with me because I don't want to. I don't
Because
want
you don't
to.
care. Oh, so you're saying you don't care about housing and food and shelter? Is that what you're saying?
I
Just
do.
to be clear?
Here's the thing that's funny, right? It's
No,
like
because you just said that you don't share those values.
I
That's
don't.
exactly what you said.
Yeah.
verbatim.
You're talking about a hierarchy of needs versus value structures. Like,
We are not
oh, do I
meeting
need
the
to drink
hierarchy.
water? Do I need to
Thank
drink
you for
water?
bringing up-
Yes.
Thank you for bringing up
Yes.
the hierarchy of needs because you're focused 3 steps ahead about whether
Uh-huh.
or not there's a God. Meanwhile, people's base pyramid needs are not met. And I said that those
Which
matter
ones?
the most. those matter.
Which
food,
ones?
Shelter, clothing, blah, blah, blah.
Okay, let's get
I
into
said that those
shelter.
matter the most, and you just said no.
Let's
You
get
said
in.
that those do
yeah,
not
yeah,
matter
yeah.
to
Let's
you.
get into shelter first. So let's start with this, right? So in your hierarchy of needs, are you aware that most homeless people suffer from significant mental illness, and that's why they're homeless?
That's an insane jump.
Okay,
That-
how?
That's your take.
Your entire premise here is that you want to talk about the hierarchy of needs and that people aren't
I
getting
don't
access to
think-
food and shelter, and that all this
I
is a
don't-
distraction. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about
I-
the mental illness
System
and the
is not
drug
smart.
addicts, and
You
that's
wanna
why
talk
they're
about
homeless.
Mental illness.
Yeah.
That's- Okay.
Yeah,
So
let's
mental
talk about
illness
it.
Is a result of guess what?
What?
All of these basic needs and securities. Period. So you're flipping the
No.
script and you're saying that mental health leads to these things. No, these things lead to mental
Do you
health.
want to know what
Yes,
one
they
of the
do.
what is the biggest common denominator that you will
or,
find
or religion
between
itself leads to
homeless
mental health issues,
between
to be
hang on
totally honest.
I'm glad we finally got here. Do you want to know what one of the biggest correlating factors is between homelessness and mental illness? Is single motherhood. And you will find that, and I can give you this. Hang on. And I can
Because the
hang on.
system is
Stop.
designed a certain way?
Stop.
Okay.
Stop. I'll let you talk.
They're
You let me talk, 'cause
corporations.
Now we're getting to the meat of things. So the thing is it's like this: single motherhood is the biggest direct link. So when you ask
Multiple
me,
glow
you say,
plugs.
"Hey, Andrew, are you seriously trying to make the audience believe that having two parents in the home under some kind of economic stable conditions where they have a wholesome family is actually going to be helpful for their economic future?" You just conceded that it would, lady.
I made no such concession. Again, I reverse it and I blame the system
Oh.
for the fact that single mothers cannot get their basic needs met. Period.
Oh, it's
Because
single
we're
mothers
out
can't get their
here-
basic
because
needs
we're
met.
out here villainizing them instead of. Some Christian ethics you are. I at least have a lot of respect
They can't get
for the
their-
Christians
they can't get
who
their
care more about
needs
feeding
met.
the poor than whether or not two men are having sex, which again is clearly your
Are we?
top
Well,
priority.
that's funny
for
because we're not
no
talking. Are we talking
psychological
about that
reasons.
right now? Are we talking about the single motherhood epidemic, which leads to homelessness and drug addict and self-abuse and self-harm and all the various correlates that we find with single motherhood, including homelessness? It seems to me like if you really wanted to address the homeless problem, going to the system, which already gives them tons of social welfare, gives them houses, and then they ruin the fucking house they're in, destroy
First of
it.
all,
Hang on,
the system that's being
calm down,
vetted-
calm down. They literally will destroy the houses that they're given. In fact, there's been experiments. YouTubers have gone out, found homeless people, gotten them houses, and watched them destroy it within a couple of weeks because they're junkies. The thing that's really funny about this is like, look, you want to really combat that? You want to really combat homelessness? Start with how home dynamics work to begin with and what happens when you have mommy and daddy and they try to teach their kids actual values. Do you know what the success rate of those children are when they have intact two-parent homes? Oh, man, it's wildly successful in comparison to the alternative. You're not addressing these issues. You're just asking the state for a fucking handout.
Yeah, it's very easy to go straight to, well, since this is built as a meritocracy, then people need to earn X, Y, and Z. I totally get that.
That's true.
Again,
They do.
Yes, you're right. The system is totally designed for the nuclear family unit to thrive more than anyone else. That's why I actually think you and I might agree. I don't want to put words in your mouth about the institution of marriage not really being the state's business, X, Y, Z, but there's somebody like that. And so, yeah, the system is totally designed for the nuclear family unit to thrive above all else. I agree with that.
Good.
I'm seeing that as a problem.
How's
Yeah.
that a problem?
What
Yeah.
happens when there is abuse? Are you seriously
truth comes
blaming
out.
every single mother for her situation? Because that's
No.
not
God
what it
created the
sounds
family.
like,
Of
and
course
that she doesn't deserve the social safety nets that everyone deserves.
You know, it's really funny, right? Do you? I would if you were to propose to me, if you said, let's have an investigatory system, where if a woman, for instance, was just being heavily promiscuous and screwing a lot of guys and got pregnant, too bad, sucks for you, right? You made your choice in life. It was a terrible fucking choice that you made. Other people don't have to pay for your poor
All right, so
decision
that was
making.
BKL
Right? Then
01.
maybe I would have some agreement.
Let's do a
But that's
loot
not what you're
haul.
proposing here.
Let's
what you're
organize-
proposing is
what?
widening out social
Another
safety nets
one.
for single motherhood. And the thing that's really funny
Let's
about that is that creates
organize.
incentives for single motherhood.
Get that
And you
tent
can see
loaded
this
up.
over and over and over again
And
with
let's
this
go
court
check the
system
other
stacked
one.
against men, for instance. When women go in and get divorces and they're awarded huge amounts of financial settlements, in fact, they own more homes now than men do, not because they bought them free and clear, but because they were awarded them in divorce settlements.
That's
It's
not true.
complete. Yes, look it up right now. I'll bet you money right now on air it's true. You want to make that bet?
The reality
Do you
is
wanna make
you're
that bet?
still First
Yeah,
of
I
all,
didn't think
are
so.
you still
I
saying
didn't think
that
so.
your whole system of investigatory nature of single motherhood, it's such a scapegoat, and you're still blaming individual people.
You just told me
on
that the
an
nuclear
entire
family works better in this system, and that would do a lot to
system is-
address the issue, and then at the same time, it's a
No,
scapegoat.
because the system is poorly designed in the first place. And it's
How? What should the
happens-
system do instead? Give you whatever the fuck you want? What should it do?
No,
Well,
the reality is, what we have now
Uh-huh.
is so based on an unequal distribution of power and therefore resources that we don't even have the starting base, again, going back to that hierarchy of needs, of everyone's needs met. So going back to, is Christian nationalism bad for America? Yes, it is, because it's not focusing on the basic needs that are not being met nationwide.
It's not only
Yeah, that
trying
was
to
terrible.
focus on uplifting every human
There is
being
something
under a
going
moral,
on. It's
philosophical and
extra
legislative system that
laggy,
makes
like the
sense.
zombie
But it's
movement.
also attacking things which are attacking the social fabric, which is leading to this. Like the normalcy, for instance, of degenerate sex work, which leads to drug addiction, leads to single motherhood, leads to single trafficking, single motherhood in the home, and the promiscuity, which has now become rampant in society, which leads to single motherhood in the home, is one of the conditionals for the very homeless situation that you're trying to address. And instead of trying to address that and say things like, look, perhaps if we instead have propaganda around the single mother, instead
Whoa.
of single mothers, the propaganda for them, you address propaganda from the top down in the social fabric of society to say, look, marriage is actually what's good. Having
Messed up
two-parent
my
households is
jacket.
actually what's good. It's going to create great stability for Junior. Your chance of being homeless are going to be way less. Your chances of having bad outcomes in life are going to be way less. We can address those things right this second. We don't need a utopian future to do it. Instead of doing that, you're like, just more safety nets, tax the rich. That's not helping anybody. What are you going to do legislatively here that's going to help anybody? What?
I think at the end of the day, we're still more focused. First of all, it is completely irrational to expect everyone to believe in the same thing. It's completely irrational to expect
You just told me
everyone
we're
to
supposed to
fall in line.
collectivize. You want to collectivize.
I think that at the end of the day, you're talking about making this Christian utopia, and it's completely
It's not a utopia. What's the
It
utopia?
is.
What am I saying that's utopian? What?
That's like your 300-year plan is Christian.
Yeah, what am I saying right now
Legislative.
legislatively that I would address, which is utopia?
I
What?
know that your take, so to summarize, your take is that the state needs to have more, like, I don't want to say propaganda, but kind of propaganda about the nuclear family to convince everyone that was perfect.
Yeah, so
Why didn't it work in the past? Oh, because secular leftism
did it work for this?
rose up.
Did it work for this?
Rose up.
Did it work for this? Did propaganda work for that?
That's my point.
Did it
That's my
work?
point,
Did
is
it
that
work?
It's not going to work because
Did
I actually
no? It
respect
did work
the
for this.
everyday
It did
person.
work for this.
I actually respect the everyday person, and I think that they can make choices
Okay,
for their
so
own
backing
lives,
up-
and
backing
at the
up-
end of the day, it doesn't
yeah.
matter who you are.
So backing up,
you
did
deserve to have
propaganda
all
work
the-
for
I let you
smoking?
talk this entire time.
Did no? You
I let you
didn't.
talk.
No, you
Yes, I
didn't. You
did.
cut me off 4 times. What do you
I
mean?
said that Christian nationalism
Uh-huh.
is bad for the United States.
Uh huh.
Everyday people is probably good
Yeah.
for the government, but it's bad for everyday people because it is completely moralizing and putting this entire moral attack on all of these things that are not the root issue. It is not a nuclear family that is going to save us. That has been tested and it failed. And again, you're talking about, oh, there's this shift in dynamics. Christian morality has never been the same. It has never always stayed the same. It has always shifted.
This is
with
really
the-
funny.
where we're at.
So let me
period.
get, so here's the thing about this that's so fucking hilarious to me. No, nuclear families didn't fail. What happened is there was a bunch of leftist secular propaganda, starting with the Secular Human Manifesto 1, by the way. I don't know if you've ever read the first one, but
I've read them. I've read
it was actually very dogmatic, wasn't it? It was very dogmatic, Human
It
Manifesto
was
1.
actually-
And they didn't even
actually,
secularize
because it was religious.
Well, here's
It
the
was
thing,
Unitarian.
though. Yeah,
It was Unitarian Universalist.
It was
So,
Unitarian, and the design of
Interesting
it,
how the more
the
religious
design of it.
manifesto is more dogmatic.
No. It was Unitarian specifically because they wanted to infiltrate churches and tell them this idea of having a nuclear family and a dad and a mom at home, it's archaic, it's stupid, it's foolish, like you're doing right now. You can't actually tell me why that's stupid. You can't tell me why it would actually be stupid for us tomorrow to have a massive.
saying
Hang
that
on,
a system that
stop.
only
My turn,
benefits
lady.
the
Lady, it's my
family
turn, lady.
doesn't work.
My turn, lady. Yes, it does. You're literally appealing to outliers. You're appealing to literal fucking outliers. Almost everybody in the world, everybody in the whole world has a mommy and has a daddy.
Secular leftism has this huge pool, and it's not so much an outlier anymore. So according to your
And
argument,
now
no,
the
they're
pendulum's
not
swinging.
outliers.
Now the pendulum's swinging, baby. So here's the thing that's so
Clearly.
great. Here's the thing that's so great about this, right? And you still couldn't tell me. You could never tell me why it would be that if I, as a unilateral president dictator of the United States, said, okay, you know what?
Oh, here we
We're
go.
going to
Why would that be bad?
mass propaganda about having a nuclear family, right? And the idea that that you're a single mom by choice, not because your husband died or because there was abuse or there was, drugs or something like this, but because you chose it because you were promiscuous and things like this. You're not getting handouts for that. Okay, what we are going to do is reward people in society who make these great contributions to it. They stay together. They stay really focused on society. That's the thing we're going to uplift. We're not going to punish these people, but from your view, just us not giving them free shit is a punishment. I'm not talking about giving free shit to people who have intact family units either. It's totally fair across the board. Except if you move society towards that, you're going to end up solving a bunch of these issues. You're going to end up solving the birth rate problem, huge issue that we have in the United States. You're going to end up solving a lot of the degeneracy issues, huge issues that we have. A lot of the corporate mega donors, if you have good intact families, they create good intact communities. That's the very thing, the social fabric, that could actually stand up to your oligarchy of millionaires and billionaires. Right now you can't do it. How are you going to get a bunch of Christian ethicists to go walk hand in hand with a bunch of homosexual sodomites to go, really stick it to these billionaires? If the billionaires are going to assist either side in their worldview, that's what they're going to push. The only thing you have, the only thing you could ever count on is intact communities, which requires intact families. That's what it requires.
Honestly, Andrew, again, you're still focusing. Christian nationalism is still focusing on as long as ... nuclear family, as long as you fit into this conformed box and these specific beliefs and this ideology, then everything's going to be okay. And that is not rational.
You're
That is
making
not
the
how
same
world-
argument.
No. I let you talk.
But you're
this
making
whole
the same
time.
argument.
I let you talk that whole time.
Same
Can you
argument.
Have some professionalism?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. I'm
So-
sorry. Did I interrupt your interruption? But anyway, go ahead. Go ahead.
The entire premise of what I was saying is that until we solve everyone's basic needs, it doesn't matter whether or not we believe in a God and whether we want a nuclear family at all, okay? Because you're making all of these claims about what will actually fix society, and that's not even touching the actual problems in the first place. It's not social degeneracy, which you haven't even defined. I'm not asking you to. But the reality is we are not talking about whether or not someone should believe in God or not, whether or not a nuclear family is okay, or whether or not whatever, your nuclear family, it's not going to work. It's not going to work as the ultimate propaganda. That's not going to work to bring everyone collectively together unless you're just straight up talking about manipulation and coercion. But you're living in a false world if you think everyone's just going to fall in line with that. So I'm living more in reality by saying we don't need to start with that. We are not, top down doesn't work. We need to start from the bottom up and say, hey, everyone good here as far as like food, basic needs, etc. Okay, now we can talk about, let's have all these fun philosophical discussions about what's in the sky. That's fine. But you've literally said it's about a top down. We need the government to be able to tell us what is true. And I'm saying no. We
What?
need to tell the government what
Didn't
to do.
say that.
That's really the
Not only did I
difference.
not say we need the government to tell us
You're
what's
talking
true,
about.
but I not only didn't say that, right? And you're putting words in my mouth. But no,
said the
what I
propaganda.
said the only thing which would even be capable of challenging a system in the way that you're talking about
The
would
current
be
system.
would be a unison
The current
of social.
system.
Okay,
is
whether
not working.
whatever system doesn't matter what system
not
you have.
working.
The
That's the
social
point.
cohesion, you would need social cohesion. You ain't got it. And
That-
they stop,
the
stop,
nuclear
stop,
family
stop.
is not the
Relax,
basis.
relax, and just let
It's
you go
not.
through your whole spiel. Not only is it, but let me tell you just how much it is, okay? How insane your take is. Here's the things that most people in the United States actually have: shelter, food, and water. Almost everybody here has that. Almost every human being here, right now, as we speak, has access to those things. Here's what they don't have access to, and it's fast becoming a majority: a dad in the home. They don't have access to that. Here's a lot of the things they don't have access to: having grandparents that they can go to that aren't split across the board. Here's what they don't have: an intact family unit. That's fast becoming a majority. What you're talking about is addressing the needs of a minority, and a super minority at that, right? Most people right this second, as we speak, have access to shelter, food, water. Almost everybody. If you want to look at the stats to prove me wrong, then do it. But here's what you're bringing to the table. We need to address these things which have already been addressed. Under the capitalist system, it's already been addressed. Almost everybody already has access to them. You can go to a public park and there's public drinking water, for God's sakes. You can basically, right this second, on any street that you went to, hold up a sign and say, "I'm hungry, want a meal," and I guarantee you, someone will pass by in the next 10 minutes and hand you one. Because that's how people are. And what's really funny about all this is, like, you're only addressing this really minute, small sect of the United States, but I'm trying to address these much larger problems of access.
That's right.
You want to talk about inequality? Let me tell you about inequality. Inequality is if I'm at home and you come from an intact family, from me and wifey, your chances of doing better than the kid down the street whose mom divorced daddy because she wanted to go suck the neighbor's cock, right? Your chances at life significantly increase just because you're coming from an intact home. That's the truth. What you're proposing is what? That the government hands people fucking soup? What do you want them to even do here about this infinitesimal problem? What?
It's not infinitesimal. People are struggling.
Then what do you want them to do?
The housing market is increasing, and a lot of real economic anxieties are pushing people toward these radical, polarized, opposite ends of every ideological spectrum we have. You honestly cannot deny that that is happening. People are getting more.
But is that the
about
reason?
the
How do you
future
make
because of all
that
of
that's
this
the
instability,
reason?
And they're looking for scapegoats, and you are sitting here providing them with one, and you are saying it is people who do not conform to the dominant.
Oh, come on. You're saying it's
social
millionaires
construct.
and billionaires.
No.
That's the scapegoat.
Yes, correct.
That's the scapegoat.
It's not a,
How's that not a
okay,
scapegoat?
I won't say.
You're not in the
billionaires,
position
it's
you're
the
in
system
because of a
capitalism.
billionaire, lady. You're in the position you're in because of you.
This,
Whatever position you
I
find
don't know what you
yourself
mean by
in, 90% of people, the positions that they find themselves in life,
No,
aren't
that's-
because of millionaires and billionaires. It's because of their own fucking stupid decisions. That's the
you know,
truth.
I've heard you talk about rights before.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit about why you think that the quote-unquote secular left is so obsessed with just having, I don't know how you say it, but like, well, they just want rights to do whatever they want, and it's not about duty, and it's not about
Because they don't care. Yes,
responsibility.
I can dive into that. Yes. So when you are talking about forms of rights, right, there's no such thing as rights. What we're really talking about is access to force. That's what you're talking
One
about,
of the
too. You
things
just
I
don't
did
know
not
it.
check.
But everything that you're propagating here, we need to collectively do X.
Let's
What do
go
you do with
check.
the people who don't collectivize and resist X? Well, you're going to have to use force. That's what you're going to have to do. And so, really, what we're arguing about here is the use of force in
Was
whose
the
hands it's better.
drops.
Is the use of force better in the hands of Christian ethicists, or is the
Right.
use of force better in the hands of abortionists
Civic
and degenerates?
Colorado.
That's what we're asking. And ultimately, that's all we're ever asking. You don't have a right to do anything except what the guy with the barrel of a gun tells you have a right to do. And that's the case, and it's been the case for all of human history. We like to forget that that's the case, but it is, in fact, the case. And so here's what I propose, since I know that this is actually just a dominant power struggle.
So
I
after
do
the train
think that you
tracks go
want power
left,
to legislate
can stop
whatever the
there.
hell it is that you want. And I think it's
And
totally
with,
appropriate of me to want to
industrial.
do the exact same thing for the world that I want to see, which isn't a collectivization of a bunch of blue-haired freaks
Almost
who
ate it.
say, "Oh, let's get a collectivized tax on some millionaires, and that'll solve nothing. It'll solve nothing."
Okay, that wasn't really what I was asking, so I'll get back to that in a second. But okay, the use of force. I've seen that you kind of align with what is it, Nietzsche's will
No,
to power.
not at
I'm
all.
more.
It's a
I've heard you
descriptor.
talk about will to
It's
power.
no,
will
I
to
don't.
power.
No, you've never heard it once. I myself believe that this
You
is
think
a
that power is
descriptor.
the use.
Yeah, so what I'm giving you is a descriptor, not an ought claim. It's a descriptor for how the world works and how the world has always worked. And it's because human beings are animals. And there is
That's an interesting claim.
and the
from
idea
what I
here-
assume is a creationist.
Yeah, why is that an interesting claim? I'm using words you understand. So the thing is like, if this is the case, that we're animals, we're looking at power dynamics, and that's what you're trying to solve for right now is power dynamics. You say that that's what inequality is, right? It's the idea that one group is going to have more power than another group. That's what the whole point of it is. Otherwise, you wouldn't even care about inequality. The whole root of all of this is really just power. Who wants power? You think power is best in your hands, and I don't. I think that power is best served in the hands of the Christian ethicist and not you people, because
I
we
would
see
disagree
that your
with what I
prescriptions are
want.
terrible.
You put words in my mouth. I would disagree. I think that the power is best equally distributed amongst.
no.
I would put you and me in the same category as that. I
no.
would not say
It
power.
can't be.
Oh, I
It can't,
messed
power
this
can't
up.
be equally
I know that you
distributed.
don't see that as
No,
a
no, no, it
possibility.
can't be.
I'm saying no. I know that you don't see that as a possibility. I'm saying that's what I.
You
can't
don't see it as a possibility either. I'll explain how. I know it's for,
No, no,
sure
no,
you
no.
can't.
Hold on. I had an actual question about rights.
Yeah,
that
but
we
I
did
want to
not
follow
get
up on this, and then you go to rights. So the thing is like, no, in every society that you would ever propose, you're going to have an enforcement arm, no matter what. And if you're going to have an enforcement
we
arm,
got
then
it.
you're going to have an enforcement arm. There's no society you can propose to me right now that doesn't have an enforcement arm. If that's the case, they're going to necessarily have to be imbued with power to enforce the things that you want. You can't, and I'll tell you what, if I'm wrong, give me a single society that doesn't require enforcement. Go ahead.
Again, the difference between you and me is you keep saying that they are combative, and I think that there is room for Christianity under secularism. There's not room for atheists under Christian nationalism.
Nice.
Prove
That's
it.
the difference between you
Prove,
and
well,
me.
why? You're here right now, and you just said that we're all Christians in charge. So what are you talking about? That contradicts your whole position. You just said that the
That's not what
entire
you're talking
United
about,
States, the
no.
entire United
You
States is
want-
already Christian nationalist, and you're here right now as secularist. You're not in prison, so you just lied.
And you're very
So you just
clearly
lied.
trying to not include me in positions of decision making. You're very clearly not trying to include me.
That's not saying you
But-
can't
because
exist.
I don't
Me
wanna,
saying that
I
you-
don't want, I
me
don't
saying
want
that
the-
I
the
want to be in
typical
power.
nuclear
Wait.
family unit or whatever
Me
the fuck.
saying that I
wanna
don't
get
want you
married.
to
I don't
have.
wanna do all of that.
Me saying that I
So
don't want you to
you're
have
out
political
here
power is
talking
not the
about-
same thing.
You're out here talking about putting words in my
my
mouth.
God,
I
this
don't
is crazy.
think that I need more power than you. I think that it's totally fine for atheists and Christians to coexist, but your entire premise is that atheists have no room in any decision making. They can't not be about
No,
the
it's
nuclear
not.
family unit. And I'm here saying, like, y'all can believe whatever you want. Y'all can, well, that's very okay of me. Y'all can have your nuclear family unit. That's fine. But the distribution of resources shouldn't be based on your ideological beliefs. It
Well-
shouldn't be based on whether or not you have a nuclear family unit.
But the thing is like, don't you see the various contradictions that you're making? You say, well, wait a second, the distribution of resources shouldn't be based on your worldview. It should be based on my worldview. The various,
That's
hang
not-
on, hang
my
on, hang on,
worldview
hang on,
has
chill
room
out,
for
chill out,
yours.
chill out,
My
chill out,
worldview has
chill,
room for
chill
yours.
out.
I know it's a difficult
It's my
concept to
turn, it's my
understand.
turn.
I totally
Calm
understand it's
down,
tricky,
calm down.
But
My
to
turn.
be clear, that's not what I said.
My turn, I just let you finish, calm down. So it is what you said, right? And it's a contradiction. That's the first contradiction in your worldview. The second is you open this by saying you already have a Christian nationalist nation. Are you happy? Are you happy about it? And you say there's no room for secularists inside the Christian nationalist nation, even though you're right here, right now. Nobody's putting you in prison. Nobody's saying you can't be on the internet. Nobody's saying any of those things inside the Christian nationalist nation that apparently we already currently have. There's no room for you. Me saying that I don't want people who hold your ideology to have power, and so I'll fight for power for people who hold my ideology, is not saying you can't exist here. That's fucking insane. That's not even a take. That's not even a take. It just is babble. It doesn't mean anything. What are you talking about? Me saying I get to have power if you get to have power, and I'm going to fight for my side to have it, is not saying there's no room for you. And if it was, you'd be saying the same thing. I want to fight for power so Christian nationalists don't have it, would be the same thing as you saying that means that you're not included in our secular society. Do you see how insane that is?
But you're still trying to pit us to get against each other, and I'm still
We are
pushing
pitted
back
against each other.
that. I don't think so. I think that we have, or at least I would hope that you care about the viewers having their basic needs met, and them not having economic anxiety about the future, and them having meaningful, fulfilling participation in society. I hope that's what you care about. Yeah, I guess I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I'm
I
pretty
mean,
sure that
not
we're
the way that
aligned
you.
about that. And
No,
so
I don't think we are
understand
aligned
that we
about
might
that.
have- I'm pretty sure. Maybe we have different ways to go about it. That feels weird to say, but
What's the
I'm-
word
I'm out here
accountability mean to
focusing.
you? What does that word mean? Accountability.
No, if we're gonna switch gears, can we go back to rights? Okay.
Okay, let's go back to
Right.
rights.
I want to know why you think that minority groups asking for more rights is about people just getting this whole notion of like they don't want any more responsibility, they don't want any more duty, or whatever.
Because
you
that's
said
not
before.
what they usually are in askins of quote rights. There are no rights which minorities don't have. Can you name one?
hold on. There are no rights. What?
There are no rights extended to me that aren't extended to minorities. Can you name a single one?
Well, that's
I
what I'm
guess you
trying to
can
get
get
at.
signed.
I'm trying to ask you your stance on that. Is you think that you
If
get
there's
frustrated
if there's
with,
not there's not a
with
single
people-
one. So I don't even know what the point is. So
Okay,
they don't
right,
have there's
okay,
not a
okay,
single
okay.
right. There's not a single right that's extended to me that's not extended to minority groups. Not a single one. And so the thing is like, what's the point of contention? You say they're fighting for more rights. Fighting for more rights to do what? What?
So
To abort their
fair.
kids, right? To abort
Fair.
their kids? To
Okay.
abort their kids? That's what they're usually fighting for the right for? To abort
I
their
think
kids.
That, again, going back, tying this back into the conversation about power,
Yeah.
I think that and all of these initial social rights movements are not so much about, hey, we'd like to rather do whatever we want,
Yeah, they
and
are.
more about like, hey, there's been too much power, kind of like what you're talking about with Christians supposedly being taken over by secular leftism or whatever.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
maybe
Well,
understand this
okay,
concept?
maybe
So
we have
hold
an
on,
olive
hold
branch
on.
here, actually.
okay. I'm going
So,
the wrong way.
Go ahead.
What? No. Oh, an olive branch.
Yeah, I think
Really?
maybe we have an olive branch here, right? So I do think that the justification for most of the quote rights movements of feminism and things like that has been their justification is that there's unequal distribution of power. So the olive branch used, I think that is how they justify that. Absolutely. I just think it's fucking stupid. There is never going to be a such thing as an equalization of power. That's fantasy land, pure fantasy land. The thing is that distributed power is always going to be enforced by the patriarchy. The feminists are always going to have to appeal to the patriarchy for power. There's no choice. Otherwise, you wouldn't have an oppressed class. Who would feminists be oppressed by? They have to be oppressed by men, right? Who else could oppress them? Has to be men. It's like why you say I divide. I think it's the opposite. I think you guys divide. I think you're always looking for the oppressor-oppressed class, and you divide between them so that you could pit what you consider the oppressed against the oppressor, which is exactly how Marx had it, right? The proletariat, the bourgeoisie. Proletariat's being oppressed by the bourgeoisie. You need to collectivize.
Fair.
You need to overthrow them, just
Okay,
like they did
other
the
olive
Tsar
branch,
when they
olive
shot
branch.
Tsar Nicholas and killed him. The Marxists did and killed all the Orthodox Christians. They were really trying to make sure we could live together, weren't they?
Okay, the olive branches. That's fair. If we're going to talk about, there is always going to be at least some level of unequal distribution of power. I think that again, this goes back to you're pitting it between two different ideologies, and I'm trying to pit it from people.
Yeah, you're trying to
on
use
our
class.
level.
Correct.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, so the idea,
that's fair.
yeah, so but here's the threshold breaker, and this is why it's really important that you hear what I'm about to say to you, because it could change your life. I doubt it will, but it could. You have to use class. You have to use class because there's always going to be class differentials between people, no matter what. No matter what.
You did-
And
well, you
hang on,
said
hang
that
on, hang on.
patriarchy would
Hang
always
on,
exist.
hang on, I'll explain. The truth is some people are born smart and some people are born dumb. Some people are born tall, some people are born short, right? And that's going to lead to unique advantages that some people will always have no matter how you try to compensate it with whatever system you try to compensate it with. And so power is necessarily always going to be distributed to a few. Always, no matter what. And there's nothing you can do about it. That's how power is always going to be distributed because some people are really smart and they can accumulate it to themselves. And a lot of people are really fucking dumb. And they actually want to be ruled. And this is where you people get everything wrong. A lot of people actually want to be ruled. They want things to just work and they go about their day and they don't have to pay attention to nothing. They prefer that. And the thing is like until we can ever get into the progressive, into your guys' head, until we can beat it into your head, that many people's preference is just that they go about their day and they're not bothered. That's it. They don't want anything to do with any of these systems. They don't care about it at all. It's not necessary. They actually want to be ruled. There's people who like having bosses. They like the structure of that, right? They're not radicals. It's not important to them, right? And when you're talking about the reason, that's why you have to use class. You always have to say you're oppressed because of your class. You're oppressed, you're oppressed, you're oppressed. That's how you whip up the mob. The distinction here is that I'm not saying that you're oppressed by people because they're in powerful positions and you're not. That's your guys' take.
Okay, so I might be kind of hitting a wall, but okay. So back up. The nature of, again, hold on. Repeat that last sentence you got.
Yeah, the idea here But the reason that you have to use class is because you always believe that there needs to be an oppressor, because that's how leftists get power. They collectivize with the oppressor-oppressed dynamic. My side doesn't believe that. We don't believe that because there's positions of authority that some people are in, and there's
that's what it
certain
was.
there's certain
Right.
prestige that comes with that means I'm being oppressed.
I think that I have a little bit more respect for the everyday person, and I don't think everyone's stupid. I don't think there are a lot of
I
dumb
don't think
people
they're
out
stupid.
there.
That's not what I'm
You
saying.
actually said that. No, you said a lot of people are dumb. You said that.
Do you
Like,
disagree with that statement?
I do disagree with that statement.
So
I
you
don't
think
a lot
that
of dumb.
most people are smart?
I think everyone has full. Yeah, I think most
Okay.
people. Okay, yes, I do.
Okay.
I'm 100%.
Do you think most people in
that everyone is-
Pakistan, where like 70% of them
Hold
are
on.
inbred or
You
smart?
had everything you were saying.
Go
I'm
ahead.
responding to what you were
Yeah.
saying. I'm giving you the
Okay.
respect of that.
Go ahead.
So, I think that people. I don't think that everyone or most people are dumb. I don't think that. I think that people. I have the respect of people to make the decisions for their own lives. And you're right. That does include like, hey, maybe they like structure. Maybe they like having a little bit of the ability to, okay, so the ability to walk around their lives and not have to worry about all of this class oppression, all of this stuff, is not going to come when they're being told what to do, actually, paradoxically. The ability
Yes,
for
it
them
does.
to live through their lives and deal with whatever they want to deal with and have fun with their friends and spend time with their family and all of that is not about someone at the top telling them what to do. It's about on the horizontal level, their basic needs are met, period.
Then tell me this:
That's when they're
yeah.
not in survival mode, they're able to go out there and do all of those
Can
things.
you help
that I
me-
agree.
can you
Maybe
hel-
they want more structure.
can you help me
Maybe
understand
they want a
something?
little bit more freedom. But at the system that I'm talking about serves their needs no matter what.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if they do or don't want structure. You're
Right.
still doing the some people want this, but some people don't. I'm like all of us.
Yeah, that's
All of us
nice, but the
deserve.
problem is it's again nebulous ambiguity. We don't even know what it means. And so,
So
and
is the
hang on,
idea
hang
of
on.
a Christendom.
No, it's not. And here I have specific proposals that I'll give, and I can never get them from you guys because you don't have them. And the thing is so funny here is like, let's move into this because this is actually really important. When we're talking about this idea of class here, we're talking about the idea of the oppressor oppressed. You said, I do believe most people are smart. Then can you answer me one question? If most people are smart, how the fuck did a couple of guys end up ruling all of them?
What's your question? Okay, so that's fair. That's fair. I do think that everyone is smart, though. I do.
Then
think
can you answer my question?
that- yes.
How did all these smart
The
people end up
reality
having
is-
just a couple of people rule all of
You
them?
think that was them being smart? I would argue that it was them being more vindictive and oppressive, and not smarter.
So they're just
So I think there
more
are
immoral.
plenty of-
They're just more immoral than the average Joe.
Yes, I would argue that.
So if the people
Totally.
then are really
I would
smart,
totally agree
if people
with
then
that.
are really smart, why would they allow just a couple,
I don't know,
just a
maybe
couple of
because-
fucking degenerates who are billionaires rule them all if they're so smart?
That's a good question. I would say that maybe because the actual level of intelligence is whether or not you're community based and you're so focused on being a good person that you're not going to try and go out and exploit a bunch of people. Maybe that's it. Maybe the really dumb ones are at the top because they think that that's what's going to bring them meaning and fulfillment. But at the end of the day, all of us down here are like, no, we were fine, and you're out here trying to exploit all of us. Now we have an issue.
So to get this
Okay,
right,
so-
let me summarize. Really smart people, which most people are, allow themselves to be ruled by a couple
You
of fucking
went back.
dipshits.
You just call. Oh, you're saying that's my tone.
Yeah,
Okay, sure.
by a couple of dipshits. They're ruled by a couple of dipshits because they're so fucking smart. Is that right?
I'm saying that you don't get into those positions of power by being what I would say even most Christians would say ethically minded. Honestly, maybe you disagree with that. Maybe that is the most ethical manifestation of Christian values. I don't know.
They get put in those positions of power.
Pretty
Well, now let me tell you
flexible.
how they actually got there because you didn't give me an answer. You just said, well, it's because smart
Well, I was
people.
talking and then you interrupted me.
Okay, go ahead. Give me an actual answer and explain the phenomenon of how it is that 300 million people are ruled by a couple of fucking billionaires if they're so smart.
Because, first of all, it's not just these 2 billionaires. There's been an entire generations upon generations of a system working, which way back when started with an unequal distribution of resources, and this has been built on over and over and over
How come
again.
these smart
And
people
again,
didn't stop it?
People don't. Why would the everyday person, who I think
Because
is a
they're smart.
good,
They're smart.
who I think is a kind-hearted community member, focused on being of service to everyone else. That's their focus. That's the good people that I think even support you. That's what I think people are. That's what's their own family dumb.
Exactly.
First of all,
Not the opposite, in fact. So let me explain.
you want
I'll
them
go
to be-
ahead and explain
No,
to
no, no,
you
no, no, no,
how
no,
this
I'm
actually
done.
works. Okay. When you're
your-
done.
Your point earlier,
Uh-huh.
your point earlier was that everyone's dumb, so they want order. People who align with Christian nationalism are the ones who are professing that the most. So you're calling the participants of Christian nationalists the ones who are dumb and therefore want order the dumbest. That's the logic of your argument.
No, the logic here is actually the opposite. So I'm about to explain to you how people actually get into positions of power and authority, because you clearly don't know, or you wouldn't have given me a dipshit answer like, because everyone else was just running around being way too moral to pay any attention. Dumbest thing I ever heard. Well, actually, you know what? That might be the single dumbest thing I've ever heard from anybody ever. And let me just walk you through this so that you understand, right? The way that people get into positions of authority and power is because they're imbued with them. They're imbued with them from a people group. And do you want to know how I know that that's the case? Because at any time we want, we can collectively kill every single person in authority, and there's nothing they could do about it. And we don't. And it's not because of a control grid-based system that's set up. It's because we imbue people to take care of shit we don't want to deal with.
Right.
We imbue them to take care of the roads, and we imbue them to take care of the power lines, and we imbue them to take care of all the little government oversights and paperwork and shit we don't want to deal with, and foreign diplomats, and we imbue them to take care of trade deals. We imbue them with the authority to do that so that we don't have to, because that's what fucking smart people do. They take details, right, and they give them to people to take care of those on their behalf, right? Not because of immorality or morality. Your government is the reflection of the moral fabric of the social order that you live in. And if you hate your government and you think that they're decadent and immoral, that's because the population has become decadent and immoral. And it's always a reflection thereof, going all the way back to Rome.
Which I would blame on capitalism. So I feel like we're
Roman
actually
capitalism?
a bit of an agreement on that. On the nature of capitalism that thrives on the value system of profit over people and exploits greed and uses greed to exploit all of these differences amongst all of us, so we're so totally distracted, which is why I think Christian nationalism is bad for America. I do think I'm kind of hitting a wall.
Well, I mean,
we normally go to Q&A.
I don't know.
Okay, cool.
I would like to finish the debate where I feel like we're right at the end, and I have a couple of questions for you.
Okay, we can wrap it up.
When it comes to this view. So the thing is like, I actually don't understand how you can make a case at this point in the debate that what you're not actually, because you remember, you didn't refute anything I just said about power, the distribution of power, human behavior, how it works. No, you didn't. How is it, ultimately, that what you're arguing for right now isn't the collectivized power of force to enforce what you want to see in society? How are you going to do this absent enforcement for your view? How?
I never said absent of enforcement. I said that the power be evenly distributed amongst all of us, and we all collectively decide together X, Y, and Z, which is the point of a democracy in the first
But
place.
power
And
can't be equally
My
distributed.
understanding is that you're not. I don't know if you're like pro-democracy, but that's the point of democracy, right? So I did not say that no, power is never going to be unequally distributed. I said that on our level, if we're talking about all of the actual anxieties that everyday people are living through, it's not about the power between the right and the left. I think that's a total distraction.
Yeah, but
That's,
I don't
again, my
understand the
first
view.
argument.
I just want to make sure I understand the view. So here's what I don't get. You keep on saying that you want power to be equally distributed, but
Well, really, it's resources.
resources are.
Your
I agree.
argument
Resources
earlier,
is
I was
power.
talking-
Sure.
Okay, yeah, okay. So that's what I mean, is resources equally distributed. That's
So
it.
you would rather. I just want to make sure I got this right. You'd rather see everybody here than see some people here and some people there. If you had to choose,
Okay,
hang on. I
let's
just want to
be
make sure.
sober.
Hang on.
But
Stop.
it's like this.
I just want to
Come
make
on.
sure. I want to make sure.
It's not like that.
For the
though.
average person, it's not.
How about
Hang on.
this?
Stop.
We're
Stop.
right
Stop. Stop.
here,
Stop. Stop.
And
Stop.
I would rather it be here.
Let me ask the fucking question before you start answering it.
But it's not fair.
Let us assume for a second, okay, that when we create this distribution, you have people who are here and people who are here, okay? That's where they are. Now, in this distribution, would you rather see people here, right? Here. Or would you rather see them there? So, if you have some people who have a lot more than these people here do, right? Just some more than they do. Would you still rather see that there?
Okay. You're saying
So some people just have slightly more than these people. Would you still rather see it there?
yes.
Yes.
That's the point.
Yes. So the thing is that when you get to that, does that mean that we all live in the same houses, like commie blocks?
Okay, so that's fair. So I do think there is a bit of a utopia nature to a lot of that perfectly equal distribution. Fair. However,
I'm asking honestly.
Hold on.
Would you rather
I'm
see
trying to
commie
be
blocks
honest.
than a guy like me have like a nice big house? Would you rather see commie blocks than that?
I would rather. Here's my argument. Here's my actual argument. We're here. Can you see that? Okay.
She
We're
would.
here.
Yeah.
I would totally much rather us just get to here.
Mhm.
Okay. But we're so far here, and that is why people are experiencing so much anxiety, fueled by, guess what? The unchecked proliferation of these social media algorithms that don't care about whether or not we're addicted to our phones or addicted to content or whatever. They care about making as much money as possible through ads. Okay. I mean, look at us. So I think that.
Not
again,
me.
Sure, I'm okay with.
I'm not concerned about ads.
I'm okay with people being here because it's much better than here to answer that question. Sure.
Yeah.
I
So
don't live in some
yeah.
fictitious reality in
So-
which I think
so then we all
everyone will
get-
ever
but
believe
don't
the
we get
same thing,
commie
which is what
blocks?
Christian
Mhm.
nationalists
But how is
do.
that not commie
No,
blocks?
that's such a jump. That's such a jump, and it's
That's where it
totally.
leads.
not
Well, how is
even
it not though? If
fair.
we all have exactly the same and an equal distribution,
I
then
said,
everybody's
can
going to
we
get
here.
how?
Can we get
Then if I
here?
have a house that has 200 square foot more than a guy who has, I have 1,000 square feet, he has 800, right?
Going back to.
If that's the
Going-
case, do you take the 200 square feet and give it to somebody else, right? Isn't
Going
that
back
how that
to
would work?
my
I really want you to
entire-
answer
my
the
entire
questions I'm
premise.
asking you.
I am. and
Yes
you're
or
not
just
hearing
yes or
me.
no? Yes or no? They're
You're
not
not hearing
loaded.
me.
They're not loaded. Yes or no? Is it the case that if I had a 1,000-foot house in your utopia, some other guy had an 800-foot house, that I would need to lose 200 square feet on my house? Is that the case?
Of course. It's
Yes
not
or no?
equal.
Andrew, I'm not answering it.
I know.
I'm not answering
Yeah, I
it because
know.
you're doing this jump that's not fair. I'm talking about this, and you're trying to be like, but what about this utopia? I told you earlier.
Because
that
the
you're
answer is
living in
yes,
this
right? The answer is
Hold on,
yes.
let me
Isn't
talk
the
a
answer
little bit.
actually? You didn't answer the question. Yes or no?
Are you gonna? This is like me asking you. Are you gonna force everyone to believe in Christianity?
No.
Blah.
No.
Okay. Then
Look,
no.
you remember how
What
I
do you
just
mean?
answered that yes or
What
no
do you mean?
question? Oh
It's
no.
Not realistic.
Wait, so
It's not
no, I'm
realistic.
saying
So
if
you're
it were
trying
the
to
case.
paint me-
If it were
you're
the
trying
case.
to put me into this
I'm
corner
just
of like,
asking
well, what does
if
this
it were the
utopia look
case.
like?
I'm just
I don't
asking if it
al-
were the
I already
case.
don't think that the utopia is possible.
I'm just
I
asking
already
if
don't
it
think
were
that,
the
so that's not
case.
fair.
If it
But it's
were the
not fair 'cause
case.
we're trying
It
to
is
talk about
fair.
reality
I'm
right now.
no,
That's
listen.
like in your
Do,
perfect
do
reality.
you know what a
it's like
hypothetical is? A hypothetical is designed to test your logic.
You know, would you like there to be
Hypothetical,
unicorns? What are you talking
hypothetical
about?
is designed to test your logic, and as long as it is the case that I ask you a hypothetically possible scenario, it just has to be logically possible, not physically possible. Then for
Honestly,
me, hang on,
I
stop.
would leave it up to them.
You'd leave it up to them.
Totally.
Okay, so what if it's the case then that on that 200 square foot more, I was able to acquire more of a distribution of resources to myself? Should those be taken away and equally distributed?
I don't think that when you're talking about so where did they get those resources from? Somebody else? Because
No,
again, this is
well,
going
I
back
went-
to
I
the
went-
nature of a system.
Yeah, I used
Going
the
back to the nature
Apple.
of we
so-
can't colonize anywhere
I'm
else
going to
for-
explain.
for
I'll
goodness
explain it.
sake.
I'll explain so that you have more information. So I went down the commie block and I got like their little cart of apples and shit for the day. Okay, and I ate the apple and there were seeds in it, and I took the 200 square foot extra that I had and I planted some of those apple seeds, and now there's an apple tree that's sitting out there. Okay,
Great.
now that gives me a lot of power because now people can come to me for resources and I can like upcharge and stuff. Do you think that apple tree that you should be able to go in and take all the apples off and equally
No.
distribute them to the community?
No.
Okay, well then what you're saying then makes no sense because ultimately all that it would ever require is a single innovation for me to begin to gather more resources to myself than the community has, thus putting myself in a much better leveraging bargaining system for capitalism, baby. That's the only way it can be done. It's the
Okay.
only way it can be done.
True.
It sounds like again you still don't have enough trust in people to have these fair decisions made amongst their own community members, and I do.
Yeah,
So really,
you trust
that seems to be,
18-year-olds to run your life? You trust 18-year-olds to vote on what's good for your future? Really? Okay, I don't. I would raise the voting age. I'd raise the
I know,
voting age to 25.
You
Yeah.
are out here thinking that everyone else is, or what did you say? Most people.
Do
are
you
dumb.
trust 18-year-olds to vote? Really?
Do you think most people are dumb?
I think that most people at 18 are dumb.
Well, earlier you said you think most people are dumb.
I do think that, generally speaking, that when you compare them to the average of the people who are on top when it comes to power distribution, yeah, they're dumb. Generally, that's true.
I would argue that the difference between them is actually kind of what Christian nationalists seem to care about most, which is morality.
Doesn't seem to be a
that's
lot
not
here.
the distinction. There's people
think
who are
it is.
there's people who are in
BKLO
government who are very
too.
moral. There's people who are in leadership positions who are very moral people. What do you mean? Yeah, like
That's
this.
crazy.
What do you mean that's crazy? You don't you have you ever worked for a boss that has hundreds of employees, but he's a very decent person? Of course you have. So it's
Okay, a local
millions of
boss
other
is not the
people.
same. No, that's not fair.
It
A
is.
local
It's
boss
an
is
equal.
Not the same
Yes, it's a distribution
as
of
a-
power.
as
Yes.
a multi-billionaire.
People who are in authority are generally smarter than the average person. Yes, it is true. I don't know why you don't like that fact, but the thing is, the reason that guy has 300
still
employees
don't think
is
that-
because
that-
he's
that
usually
most people are
smarter than
dumb.
the 300
Yeah,
employees.
most people are not dumb. I stand by that. Totally.
Really? So, like, do you think most people in Pakistan are dumb?
I don't think that most people are dumb. What is
That's not what I
this-
asked you. Do you think most people in Pakistan are dumb?
No.
Even though 70%
most-
of them are, like, inbred?
I think that what's interesting, and I'd be curious about why you think that there is a direct correlation between the lack of literacy and the lack of education in red states. I mean, if you really want to talk about education,
Because that's where the
but
most
it's
amount
not
of-
because
I'll
I don't
tell
think
you.
it's because they're dumb.
No,
I
I'll
don't think it's
tell you.
because
I'll tell
they're
you
dumb.
exactly why.
I
Because
think it's because that they are
Yeah.
directly attacked. Their communities are directly attacked,
No.
and they are kept poor so that they are more easily manipulated.
Nope, that's not what happens. It's because it has the highest distribution of post-slavery. That's why. The red states that you're talking about, like Mississippi, have the highest concentration of black people in the entire world. And so
Oh,
do
I see where
all
you're going.
do all of the red
Okay.
states that you point to that have the worst educational standards, right? All of them you're going to find universally are around people who are post-Civil War slaves or ancestry with post-Civil War slaves. That's why. It's not even
Well,
hard.
you're
It's
missing
not
the
even
dominant
hard.
Force, but you're missing the dominant force in those red states, which
What?
is mainly white Protestants. So that argument, I don't think really
How
stands
did
up.
white
Especially because if you're
Protestants
doing
aren't
these
stopping them?
universal blanket statements
White
and
Protestants aren't stopping them
generalizations-
from doing anything. They're not stopping them from doing fucking anything. Nothing now. Nothing. There's no
well,
barriers.
They're the largest voting bloc.
Yeah, what? What are?
The in red states, the largest voting bloc are white Protestants.
Yeah, but that has no bearing on what we're talking about. Nobody's stopping minorities from having good test scores. Nobody.
I didn't bring up minorities.
But that
I
is the
brought up
case.
fact-
All of
okay,
those
but the
states
largest-
that you're
but
talking
still,
about have the largest
correct,
distribution.
easy, It's okay.
Okay, they have the largest distribution
But
of
the
minorities.
largest
That's
voting
why.
bloc, the largest voting bloc is still white Protestants
So?
who are also undereducated and low literacy. I
No,
know
they're
that
not.
You're trying to redirect
No,
it.
they're not. No, they're not. Look, the white Protestants in those same states, you're going to find are on par with the averages for the rest of the country. They're on par with the highest educational averages with the rest of the. Yes, it is always the case. You can go through and do the distribution by distribution. What do you think? The entire ideology of intersectionality was designed specifically to study that problem. Because it was intersectional, right? They didn't understand why is it that black kids can't perform like white kids do. They didn't understand why. The entire point of intersectionality was they didn't understand why that was going on. It's not even up for debate. It is in fact the case, and it's not racist to say. It's just a fact. That's what's going on in reality.
That's not the origin of intersectionality, but I understand where you're going with it.
It is too the origin of
It's
intersectionality.
not. The origin of intersectionality was a sociologist, which I know you don't take
Trying to study
sociology
what?
seriously.
He was trying to study what?
He was understanding that the civil rights movement wasn't serving women and the white suffragist movement wasn't serving black people.
Oh no.
And
That's
so
not
she
how
understood
how
that. So I
intersectionality was
understand-
popularized. You're going back
I
to
understand
you're going
that
back to
you
a
don't take sociology
No.
seriously.
I don't.
So this is
I
kind of
don't.
hard.
Yeah,
So why
I
are
don't.
we? Yeah, this
Not
is
at all.
probably not. we can't even go anywhere.
But I do
with
take
it.
numbers seriously. So the thing is like I can still take test scores seriously.
The basis of sociology.
No.
Okay.
That's the basis of scientific and mathematical formulas. Sociology is designed to interpret that data. That's what they're doing. They're trying to interpret the human element. That's the sociological element, not the scientific element of just crunching the numbers, lady.
Yeah, I'm not going to sit here. I mean, like, me trying to debate whether or not sociology and psychology are pseudoscience according to your interpretation is going to be
Well,
the
I
same
mean,
thing
they're at
as
least
me-
soft
me
sciences, right?
Me doing the whole thing about Christian beliefs just being mythology, fairy
No,
fairy
it's
tales.
not even
they're
close.
both-
Not even
they're
close.
both the basis of all of our arguments, and so I'm not going to sit here and like do that back and forth.
But it
Most
is
of the
you do
repetition.
agree it's a soft science at least, right? Soft science, emphasis on the S.
Social emphasis on the social.
Soft.
They're social sciences.
But you do agree they're soft sciences, not
They're
hard
social
science. They're not hard science. We can at least agree they're not hard sciences.
Science relies on the scientific method, which is used in psychology and
T-
sociology. I'm not doing this.
I just
I'm
have
not
one
doing
last
this.
question for you, and then we can
Is
wrap
it
it.
one last question?
Just
really?
one. Just one last one. Can you tell me what the scientific method is? Off the top of your head? Honestly.
Like the steps?
Yeah.
Sure, it's a little bit different depending on where you're looking.
'Kay.
But it's what? Hypothesis.
Nope. You already failed. You already
experimentation.
failed.
All right, Andrew. Then I'm sure you're probably it's probably because you're a scientist. So okay, we're
I
done.
think engineers are scientists. A lot more scientific than sociologists, but okay.
Totally.
Yeah. I've built robots. Have you ever built a robot?
That's very good.
Yeah, it is good.
That's very good.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I've built robots.
I'm
Have
going
you ever
to-
built a robot? Can you tell me what a solenoid is, science lady? Just tell me what a solenoid
That
is.
is just
That's
a
it.
big word.
Just a solenoid.
That's a big word.
You don't know, do
It's
you?
a big word.
Do you know what a solenoid is?
No, I'm so
No, yeah.
impressed.
You should
We're going to
know.
jump into the Q&A. Couple of quick housekeeping things. First, folks, if you did not know, if you've been living in a cave on Mars with your fingers in your ears, as you can see at the bottom right of the screen, DebateCon 6. It is our 6th conference. It is going to be 2 days of debates. Come on out, meet Andrew, meet Made by Jim Bob, Inspiring Philosophy, Apostate Prophet. It's going to be amazing. Jake of Rattlesnake TV will be there and see them debate live. Click on the link in the description box as well as pinned at the top of the live chat right now. Just for the next 72 hours. As you can see at the bottom right of your screen, use the code at checkout, 25 live. That means from this live stream, this code that you use will get you 25% off your ticket. Act now, as we're expected this place to be packed and to be sold out. With that, we're going to jump into the Q&A. Thank you very much for your questions, folks. We're going to move fast. We have a lot of them here. Thank you very much for them. And this first one coming in from Big League Drew says, Rachel is greater than Andrew. Wow. Basil Problem says, did Miguel Sapochnik light Wilson's room? Reminds me of, quote unquote, The Long Night.
Yeah, so actually, this is a good question. If you're wondering why my lighting is all jacked up, it's because I'm in the middle of a move and I have all of my lighting packed. So I wasn't at the reason I'm here is because I wanted to do one last debate before I traveled across the country. So that's, yeah, so it's like if I got to do that by lamplight, then I'll do it by lamplight. I don't give a shit.
It looks good, very dramatic. This one from Even Lord says, Weenmar problems require Weimar solutions. I don't even know what that means. This one from Gibbon Basher, thanks for your super chat though, Even Lord, says Wilson's comparison of COVID-related mandates to fascism alone should tell anyone watching he shouldn't be taken seriously at all. And they even added the LOL at the end.
That's fine. You know, you can just use your state-approved garment that they say that you must wear at the checkpoints you must stop at in order to get to work. That's what people think of when they think of fascism. You know what they don't think of? Oh, they're going to stop OnlyFans. Oh, no. Oh, no.
Basil Problem says, oh man, Basil, I'm not even going to read some of yours. They're so weird. Big V Drew says, being booed is the natural state. I just couldn't see what word you're saying there. Let me know, Big Lee Drew, what you meant by that. Actually Religious says, Casey, if someone's sexual practices are known to cause them or their partner physical harm, and both still enjoy it, should they be told to stop the practice?
I mean, if everyone's consenting adults, I think that's again, like we're still focused on some minutia situations that I don't understand why why this is such a focus when it comes to Christian nationalism, because that has nothing to do with Christianity or nationalism, first of all. As far as two consenting adults participating in acts, I mean, harm is really the question of definition there. By harm, do you mean pain, which can be pleasurable? I mean, that's a whole like physiological situation that is one definition, and then the other definition could be really interpreted as like mental harm, even financial harm, in which case I do think that people in a lot of those dynamics deserve advocacy for the betterment of themselves, but I'm also not a sexual health expert, and I think that a lot of this again kind of gets into specific examples of things that aren't really the point of this debate.
Which is why my worldview will win. You ready? Ban it. That's why it'll win. It'll win because it appeals to the majority of people who don't want the society that they live in to have 18-year-old girls stuffing shit up their vagina so that men can fap to it. That's not the social order that we want. And because of that, that's why my worldview always wins. It always wins.
This one from Bubblegum Gun says Christian nationalism has its promotion of Zionism. Oh, sorry. I'm going to read that over. Christian nationalism's promotion of Zionism to America began with the arrival of 19th century British evangelical ideas and was significantly amplified by the creation of Israel in 1948. Yes, it is bad.
I agree. So I agree that the idea of Christian Zionism is bad. Remember that time, though, James, that I debated against it on your channel? That's exactly why I did.
Yeah. I think we're in agreement about that.
Our friend Uncensored America helped us. I should say they put it on, and we just helped in a small way. Huge credit to Sean. He's been a huge blessing.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, credit to them. But I just remember that you were there moderating the debate.
Yeah.
And it was about Christian Zionism. I'm in total agreement that that Christian Zionism is contradictory, stupid, and needs to be done away with. The entire idea of dual loyalty is silly. But that is very much nationalistic, by the way.
This one coming in from, do appreciate it. Gideon Basher says, studies show that there is a correlation between transphobia and trans porn consumption. Who wants to place bets that Andrew consumes it?
Yeah, there's also studies on you being a trans and unaliving yourself too, right? So the thing that's really funny here is like, I don't know which prescription is better for society, because it seems like by reducing the idea that men can become women and things like that would actually solve two problems. Then it would solve the first problem of the apparent sociological study, which says that there are people who advocate against trans who are just doing it because they're fervently fapping to it in the background, and also that they would stop unaliving themselves at such a high rate. Isn't that funny how that works? It's almost like the social core of degeneracy has a lot of effect in the fabric of the nation.
Yeah, I would still maintain that, honestly, that's I'm not really very interested in Andrew's porn history, and I think I would just end up going back to that still is a distraction from like the main actual anxieties that everyone actually I think needs to deal with. But yeah.
Yeah, well, let me give you the entirety of it. I don't watch porn. There you go.
This one coming in from, do appreciate it. Ryan01 says, should man be trusted to uphold the word of God? I don't know if it's rhetorical. Even Lord says both sides are funded and controlled by the chosen people. Juicy. Basil Problem says, Wilson, are you so dark because you don't believe in science? Just ignore him.
Lights.
Anon.
I don't believe in the lights. That's a fucking bunch of voodoo. Bunch of witchcraft voodoo. This whole idea of an electron. It's not a big fan of that. As a Christian, of course, I want to drag us all back to the Dark Ages, where we have to sit around fires and thump women over the head with clubs and drag them in caves, as everybody knows.
This one coming in from, do appreciate it. Basil Problem. Man, you're obsessed, Basil. You have to, like, let it go. He has personal questions for you, Andrew. Caleb Robinson says, Africa has extremely high child marriage. The Middle East and India as well. Mass immigration brings them in, changing cultural perspectives, allowing child marriage. Look at Europe.
Yep.
It also stagnates wages and lowers living standards. I think this is for you, Casey.
Yeah, so I think, like, again, if I'm looking more holistically at humanity as a whole, first of all, I think that any harm of the young or
Is a
the
blizzard
next
coming in?
generation is very indicative of something
Wait,
very
we have like
structurally
8,000 on
unwell,
YouTube right now?
unhealthy, systemically not serving
I'm going to get
its-
rid of a couple thousand of you right away.
adherents, its
Hang on.
citizens.
Watch me get rid of a couple thousand of you. You better send me my fucking money, Sonny, because this broad got fucking wrecked. Wrecked and wrecked bad. You better send it in, Sonny boy.
Anxiety and
Now watch 2,000 people evaporate. 2,000 cheap bastards evaporate.
on a holistic level, we're talking about all of these different cultures and this one's better than the other, da 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 da. And at the end of the day, I'm still gonna go back to, like, well, we haven't even tried making sure that everyone's needs are met, so I don't know what to tell you.
This one from Big League Drew says, "We are nothing. Your safety, your food, etc. is your responsibility. The government isn't here to support you and can't keep you safe."
Right.
I would say that if that's really how you feel, then frankly, I pity you, because I think one thing that we've really lost is our connection to community, and I actually would like a little bit more social cohesion based on those first of all, like, a lot of the Christian ethos relies on what? Feeding the poor? Well, let's see it in action. So I'm still gonna go back.
We're still we're the ones who contribute the most to charity still to this day, even per capita. It's not even close. Secularists especially don't. They especially don't. We are still the benevolent force in this world. I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news for you.
Did no one
This one
tell her
coming
this?
from Basil Problem says, "Wilson,
does
what
she
age
know?
should we allow children to start smoking tobacco? 6? Is that too old? If it is, why?"
6? Is 6 too old to start smoking tobacco?
That's what he says.
Yeah, they don't have the cohesive judgment to make such decisions.
T-Maz says, "I guess Andrew forgot about Matthew 5:22. Quote, if you say, 'You fool, you will be liable to the hell of fire.' You should also read Colossians 3:12. He's got to work on his Christian ethics," in quotes.
Oh, yeah, I know it. Hippie Jesus, just be nice. We get it. And as Jesus called people vipers, whitewashed tombs, things that would get you killed in that time for being
Yep.
so offensive to other people. But, you know, it was all just about hippiness and hugging trees and stuff, because Jesus was a real groovy guy.
This one comes from Big League Drew, says, "We share nothing. We got that. Actually, religious says, Casey, where can I find the Book of Shared Humanity? I'd like to read it for reference. Surely it is written down somewhere, or did you just make it up?"
I mean, technically, I guess, based on that logic, it would be every single book. So good luck with that. The point of there being shared humanity is that it's not just set down in one simple thing that everyone. First of all, everyone interprets the Bible exactly how they want. So we can't rely on a
That's not
Bible, on one
true.
single book, for all of this moral foundation, because even
You say there's
under that premise,
Not a
we're
correct way to
still all
understand it.
gonna be, and it's gonna end up being about our shared collective values. So
Logically.
every book.
Yeah, interestingly enough, that's not the case. It's only through sola scripturis that you find interpretations which are solo. The ancient churches don't do that and never have done that, and it's a thing that Protestants have a real hard time, especially secular humanists who don't debate with Catholics or Orthodox very often. They don't understand we have an unchanging tradition for just this reason, so that we don't have a changing ethic. We have an unchanging tradition. It doesn't change. Over 2,000 years hasn't changed. So the thing is, same thing, and you'll find this in the Catholic Church as well. Unchanging traditions. And the thing, that's the core of the ethics. They don't change. Your ethics do change by your own admission. They change based around the whims of the time and the people group, which is why when I asked you the question, if they want to lower the age of consent to, like, I don't know, 12, and collectively they decided to do it, you can't even say that that's bad. And it's why your worldview...
I did say that's bad.
Yeah, I know, but based on... But it's a contradiction, right? It'd be a contradiction to say that that your philosophy for morality comes from collective group consciousness and then defy the collective group consciousness. That would make you immoral.
This one coming in from, do appreciate it. Gibbon Basher says, what does Andrew think secularism means? Because it doesn't mean atheism.
Yeah, it just means non-religious.
Rachel Wilson says he's telling her that the cause of homelessness is not economic in nature, parentheses true, and she can't even understand what he's saying.
I
Casey,
mean,
in your response.
I did. I mean, we went back and forth on that quite a bit. I think that both mental health issues and homelessness can be solved with more systemic inequality. It's not going to be perfect, or systemic equality is not going to be perfect, but I did address that.
Oh, I'm sorry. Hang on. I got to clarify, right, for the precision nerds out there. The principle of keeping government religion separate. Got it. Okay. Just want to make sure so that later you don't go and freak out because I gave a off-the-cuff definition. So there's the very precise definition. But yeah, they're all non-religious. Also, just pointing that out.
This one
And that's
from
not true. Sorry. go
Bobby
on.
Yeah,
Love says,
yeah. I mean, it is true. Really, it is.
Bobby Love says, have you actually considered that objective morality could exist and that folks just have opinions on it? Analogy, temperature truly exists, yet people are affected differently based on various factors. They didn't say who this is for.
I mean, maybe it's me. I very much this is kind of just a personal take. I don't know or care if objective capital T truth exists. I don't think it's really possible for subjective humans to really understand it. And so again, this goes back to why it's important kind of for everyone's perspectives to exist, because absolute truth, objective truth may or may not exist, but we're not going to know it as individuals, which is why we need a collective understanding.
You certainly act as though it exists.
I feel like Christians actually act like it. You're saying I do? I don't think it does.
Okay, then I don't think that you can say that anything you said tonight is true.
That
This
seems
one-
simple enough.
The Jabroni says, I'm an atheist and I much prefer Christian ethics to the current societal decay. W. Andrew.
Yeah, this is a big thing that you see a lot of, and you start to see more and more secularists because we now have a new form, basically, of Pascal's wager, which is if we follow the Christian nationalists and the Christian populists, and their legislative body actually gives us better results for society than what current secular humanists propose and what current atheists and agnostics propose. Shouldn't we go ahead and do that because it reflects the values that we'd rather see in society? And it turns out there's an awful lot of them that actually do think that. And that's why I'm not excluding them like my opponent seems to think, that there's no room for secularist, atheist, or dissent inside of Christian ethics or Christian government. The opposite is true. It's just the idea that we're going to give power to these people to rule over us is fucking insane. I'm not doing that.
This one from Aiden Chavas says there is no heritable or trauma-caused mental health problems. It's all capitalism. We had greater wedlock under more absolute poverty. I think that's for you, Casey.
I don't really understand the question. That mental health issues are or are not a result of capitalism.
I think they're saying, like, are you really saying that capitalism is the reason for all mental health issues?
I think that when people's needs are met, we haven't even tried more of a focus on people's basic needs being met to make the argument that it does or doesn't really. But yeah, I would say that when people are living in survival mode, they're not really operating. That's what the hierarchy of needs leads to. They're not really operating at this level of being able to participate and function healthily in society. Yeah.
If you look at the hierarchy of needs, though, and this is what's so interesting, you keep bringing this up, if you look at the hierarchy of needs, we're way past that, which is why we're into liberal progressive ideology and other ideologies which are politically based rather than resource based. We've been past the hierarchy of basic food, water, and shelter for a long, long, long time.
And I would argue that the rise in Christian nationalism is because that, while that might have been the case for, we did have more economic, quote unquote, prosperity in post World War II era, because economic inequality is growing more significantly than it was back then. I would say that the rise in anxiety about the future, people are more anxious about their basic needs. To ignore that is just unfair to them.
But nobody's ignoring
right?
it. It's
Yeah,
just that
so,
there's a
but I'm
prescriptive
saying-
difference.
So, but that's what I'm why I'm arguing that a focus on Christian nationalism as being the end-all be-all is not the answer, because we need to focus on these basic needs first. So
yeah,
that's,
you want
that's the
to
point of
you
what
want to
I'm
really
saying.
improve the people's lives and basic needs who are right here, right now. You can do something about it. Stop mass migration tomorrow, and there'll be a lot less needy people here, won't there?
This one from, appreciate your question. Tommy Jones says, Smoky Man mean. And this one from Big Lee Drew says, you're not a bad person necessarily for being a single mother, but it's not desirable. Two-parent hetero households is the way to go objectively for children.
Correct. It doesn't make you an evil person, a bad person. Nothing like that, right? The conditionals which led to it could. That's true. Or the conditionals how you operate in that condition could. But it itself is not. But when we're talking about the desire for what we want to see in society, it is the case that we would like to see intact family homes instead, and less blended families, right? That's a much better proposition for society. It's also the case that we would much rather see strong backbones of cross-generational family units. And that's like, there's nuance in the position, but there's not that much nuance. It seems like it's very common sense based to me.
Now we're
This
talking
one-
about single. Oh, sorry.
No,
We're
you're good,
talking
go
about single mothers a lot, and again, like, I would never blame children for the actions of their parents. So if again you're basing the distribution of resources based on the actions that led up to that single motherhood, I hear that you're not saying that single motherhood is itself makes you a bad person, but that the actions that led up to it might. You're still basing the resources distribution off of those parameters, and I think the kids deserve better than that. No matter
Well,
what.
I mean, that's nice to say in a bubble, you know, but unfortunately, you don't get to take resources away from my children in order to take care of your children by force. You don't get
There's
to do
no
that.
threat to your resources. There's no threat to your.
I'm sorry,
resources.
if I have
There are-
resources
there
and you
are
take
enough
them, that's a
resources.
threat to my resources. What are you talking
There are
about?
enough resources for everyone in the world to be totally taken care
As
of.
long
We're
as you
just not
take,
doing
as
that.
long as you take more of mine.
Yeah, it's going to require some people to have.
So then
what
you are
a lot
threatening
of
my
Christians would
resources.
a lot of Christians would call Christian ethics, which is giving to the poor. That's
By
actually that's what we're talking-
voluntarily, and remember, give
Yeah,
unto
I
Caesar,
agree.
give unto Caesar what is
Totally.
Caesar's, and the idea is that that is the power of force. What Caesar's demanding. Christians
Yeah,
who
I would
came,
agree that
Christians who
government
came in
needs to do
Acts.
that.
Hang on,
You're right.
hang
I
on.
do agree
Christians.
that government
That's
needs
right,
to
by
do that.
force. And Christians, by in Acts, what they did it not by force. They did it by choice, and they still do, which is why they're far more charitable than anybody on your side. It's not even close.
This one from, do appreciate your question. Rachel Wilson says, ma'am, I regret to inform you that empathetic sounding platitudes are not arguments. They're sassy. Patrick Law says, James, does this chick, why are they asking me? Seriously believe this is for you, Casey. Does she believe that she can gaslight us into believing that she has anything but loathing and disgust for anyone to the right of Hassan? Just believe we have shared values, guys.
Crazy jump. Totally. Yeah, I don't have disgust for people ideologically opposed to me.
I do,
got it.
depending on how they're ideologically opposed to me. Like I have a lot of
That's very
disgust.
evident.
I have a lot of disgust for cannibals, chomos. I have a lot of disgust
I
for.
pity them.
I mean, I have visceral disgust towards the act of cannibalism, and I think that it's fine. I think it's fine to have disgust for, but again, is why my worldview works. Imagine that we're in a room and you say, I don't really find, cannibalism disgusting. I just think it's pitiful. And then I look
Yeah.
at him and I say to the room, oh, but I find it fucking horrible and disgusting, and I don't want it in my society. Who do you think people are going to follow? They're not going to
Okay, well,
follow
that
your
wasn't the
shit.
question at all. They were
It-
talking about right of Hassan.
No, but that's what you
we weren't
said as a
talking about
follow-up.
outliers.
That's what you said
I
as a
said
follow-up.
that people on the political ideological opposite of me, no, I don't have disgust for them. You're doing these random ass, out here outliers.
Well, I have
like,
disgust for abortionists. They disgust me.
That's very clear.
Yeah.
This one coming in from, do appreciate it. Patrick Law, we got that. Alchemist says, so she wants to take even more money from settler Americans and give it to the invader, legal and illegal. No, we owe you nothing. You owe us everything.
I hear again that there's a lot of economic anxiety about the fact that we are all one single humanity, and even though, again, there are enough resources for everyone to be fed and clothed like 10 times over or something, we have all been manipulated into thinking that we have to take it from one of us to give it to somewhere else to the detriment of that person. Whereas, again, if we just did, if we started at a fairly equal playing field in the first place, we don't need to take. First of all, I'm not talking about taking from whoever this person was. I'm talking about taking from billionaires. So it's apples and oranges.
And millionaires. And also, I'll just point out, secularists got this wrong before, and so did secular humanists with the population bomb. They believed that by lowering the population of the world, that would create a lot more resources for everybody else, and the opposite was true. Turned out with a population boom, we suddenly had logistics and we could get food where it needed to go because as people, you may not know this, right? But you don't grow a lot in the fucking middle of the sub-Saharan African desert. Not a lot there to grow. So you need to have human beings in climates where they actually grow food in order to logistically move it where it goes. And what capitalism has done is it's extended lanes of capital so that people can actually have actual food distribution systems that do that. And the manpower, which is necessary to do it, is humanity itself. It's like your whole worldview, ultimately, when it's reviewed, is death. It's death to people, just like it was in communist Russia. All it did was create death on a wide scale. And it's like, no, the Christian ethical and nationalist system doesn't want that. They want the propagation of the one thing that matters the most, life.
This one coming in from, do appreciate your question. Basil Problem says, Wilson. Okay, they have a thing about tenant media. They say, Wilson is the dark lighting concept coming from tenant media.
I didn't know that they had a dark lighting concept.
Me neither.
It's not even it's not even a concept. It's just that my lights are packed right now because I'm moving. So, I mean, I guess accidentally I'm copying somebody, maybe? I don't know.
Marilyn says, my grandpa was Larry Flint. He said majority rule only works if you're also considering individual rights, because you can't have 5 wolves and 1 sheep voting on what to have for supper.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's an old quote from hundreds of years ago from a very famous founders. Democracy is, 2 wolves and a sheep arguing about what to have for dinner. The idea of individualism is necessary for there to be a republic. Democracy must be restrained, which is why our founders hated democracy. They loathed it. They didn't want anything to do with it. We never had one. Almost nobody could vote for good reason. It was a terrible fucking idea, and it still is.
This is from Aiden Shavas. Says, if capitalism is the only problem, and tradition and family a distinction, why did Stalin have to outlaw degeneracy and, like China, restore culture and liberalize markets to survive?
I assume that's for me.
Yes.
So, if I understand the question correctly, I'm not an economic expert, but I do know that the basic premise of of valuing profit over people has led to a global system of capitalism. I mean, we're talking about something that, kind of like as Andrew was saying a little bit ago, is so built into the entire network of how we distribute resources on this planet that it does continue to follow the first contradiction of capitalism, which is that at a certain point, the people on the bottom, all of us really, are not going to be able to even afford all of these resources because it just keeps this economic inequality just keeps growing, not just in the United States, but then on a global scale as a whole.
But always what's negated in this argument is that no matter what, you're going to have people who are on the bottom of any system, even a communist system. But let's just say we did get there. What is always missing from this argument is the fact that it's scalable. So the idea is everybody can become rich, even if some people are extravagantly more rich than other people. And I would argue most people in the United States, in comparison to most of the rest of the world, are extremely wealthy in comparison. And that's the scalable part of the system that's always ignored by these people, is that you becoming extraordinarily wealthy does not bar somebody else from becoming just less wealthy than you are. You can all be fucking wealthy. The idea of the straight distribution system doesn't do that. It does the opposite of that. It rewards people for terrible behavior, and it's why it doesn't work.
This one coming in from, do appreciate your question. Robin Webster says, all a woman needs is a jar opener, Andrew. This one from Big League Drew says, most people struggle because they have no real skills. One of the best things you can do for yourself is learn a skill someone else is willing to pay for. Everybody agree?
I agree with that. Yeah, I think that I think ultimately your value in society, especially when it comes to men, is always based on resource allocation, and it always will be. It's a status symbol even for us, but it's a status symbol for the opposite sex as well. And the truth is that having a skill set that you're paid handsomely for is not a thing which should be punished, nor is it a service that you fucking owe anybody.
This one coming in from, do appreciate it. Agjan says, thanks for hosting the debate, James Cobal as well. I don't know what Andrew's talking about. This lady is a genius. Smoky man bad. Thank you for that. Robert Ryan says,
that's fair.
Christus Anesti. Big League Drew says, even distribution of anything in society is not obtainable. Also, democracy is a form of tyranny. Any thoughts on that, either of you?
I think I was pretty clear on saying right now we're here. That's what we were kind of talking about, and like we're not even like the notion of Christian nationalism isn't even trying to touch the concept of getting us closer to here. Okay, I very much was open about like I'm not trying to live in some utopia, but right now we have a lot of everyday people worried about the future and their future generations, and so for you to say that like this utopia isn't possible, like okay, so then what? So we're just gonna keep doing this? Okay.
No, we're not going to keep doing anything in the status quo. What we'll do is we'll create the economic conditions which will allow people to stay here who earned it, and the people who are here can move up to here because they fucking earned it. And the thing is one good way that you can do that, to begin to equalize against that, is taking all of the distribution of government resources towards mass migration and empire-building warfare, and lower taxes significantly for the middle class by doing that. Huge thing we can do immediately that actually addresses this, not a straight equal distribution system, which is cockamamie nonsense.
This one coming in from, do appreciate it, Big League Drew. You got that one. This one from Good Godfather says, how about the Fed being a Prague institute, inflating currency and manipulating economic structures? Christians outpace all in charity/health. Any thoughts on that, either of you?
Andrew, that's one of his favorite points, is that Christians privately have, give the most to charities XYZ, but it's still not addressing the actual large-scale issues of everyone's needs. So, again, what I would love to see is if Christian ethos are these perfect moral virtues and they end up with the social and cultural and therefore political dominance, like why, if government is supposed to be the manifestation, as we agreed upon earlier, of the collective will, and the Christians are currently have the majority both on the everyday level and on the level of Congress, like why aren't we seeing that then?
Because the same way that if I identify as a woman, I'm not one, you just identifying as a Christian doesn't make you one. There's also a cultural zeitgeist behind why it is that Barack Obama swore on the Bible and said that he was a Christian when clearly he didn't really follow Christian ethics. And it was the same thing that you can see with tons of politicians. You'll see people who will make the claim that they are because of a cultural zeitgeist that makes them think that this is an allocation for status. It's why politicians who clearly aren't Christians pay lip service to it, because they want that evangelical vote. But that doesn't mean that they actually are. And so the thing that's funny here is, like, every system is going to be beholden to that, though. There's going to be people who would say that they're good communists who actually aren't, who would try to rise to the top in whatever system you propose. The thing here, though, is Christian nationalism is saying, look, screw those people, screw these rhino Republicans and these basically fraudsters and liars who keep on promising they're going to close the borders and don't. They keep on promising these various things that we want, and they don't do it. And so what ends up happening? We bank hard or right. Why? Because we actually want these agendas done.
This one coming in from the Jabroni says, everyone thank Casey for actually showing up and hanging in there versus the Wilson meat grinder. We appreciate both of you being
She
here.
didn't beat me
It's
on
been an
anything, Kit
awesome
Blank. She
debate,
didn't even make
and
that argument.
this
She didn't
one
make
from
any argument.
Hazel
What are you
Problem.
talking about?
Here we go. Says Wilson, what about the lighted, non-lighted dynamic? Is the non-lighted dynamic biblical? Is it from the Tanakh or from Paul? You just have to ignore him. XQ says, Casey, do you believe in private property? And Ken?
This guy. She beat you on natural rights force doctrine is meant to protect our natural rights, not create rights. Hey, Kit, she never made that argument. She never made any argument.
Private property, I think, is often conflated with like private ownership of means of production. So it's like, are you talking about home ownership? I don't think is impossible to have under a fairer, okay, fairer is really what we need to focus on, fairer distribution of resources. But if we're talking about the private property of corporations, like, no, I would like a lot more worker-owned co-ops. I would like a lot more, if we're talking about, again, government being the administration of the collective will of the people, I would like us all to collectively be like, hey, can we focus on us all having housing? It doesn't have to be perfectly boxes, your little commie block, whatever you
What
call it.
happened?
That's not what I'm getting at.
What happened, boys and
It's
girls?
just a matter of
Did
of
we
being
lose
a
signal
little bit
for a
fair.
minute?
We're just not focusing on
Did we
that. We're
lose signal
focusing
for a
on,
minute?
Again, as I've said repeatedly, issues that I don't think are actual root causes of everyone's collective anxiety.
Except that when you said that you'd rather see, if you had to, rather than have some people higher than others, right, you would artificially bring them down in order to create this artificial sense of equality. And that's what the scale was there
I would
to
love
determine.
them to do that voluntarily, and I think if
They're
we
not
start
going to.
valuing, well, I think if we're talking about social movements, I think under a social movement that prioritizes power and profit over people, I think you're right. However, my work here is to kind of get us all like, hey, can we care about our neighbors and love each other? Like, that'd be dope. Can we care about the poor? And so, yeah, can we please consider, like, maybe not the kind of artificial philanthropic maneuvers of these corporate billionaires, instead doing some actual infrastructure that prevents such an exploitative growth in the first place.
Well, when you grow up, you're going to learn what every communist before you knew and set out in paper every single time, that power comes from the barrel of a gun, not from your wishy-washy, I have high hopes that all of us are going to collectivize and come together and give up their stuff and everything that they earned for other people because they really wants it. It's never how it works. It always becomes power distribution, and ultimately what you're going to need to have is power in order to enforce your will. And because you do that, right? Well, actually, you people were the most willing to do that, but you're saying you're not willing to do that. Somebody else will rule you instead. And because Christians are sick of that happening to us, we do the opposite. We're like, well, we're pretty tired of being ruled by these petty little people. We'll take the chains of power back for ourselves.
We got this one from. Do appreciate it. Hallis says, actually, Mississippi recently risen in the education rank among the 50 states. That would be a point against Mrs. Malone. Ms. Malone. Also, your son, Post Malone, makes decent music. Give you a chance to respond, Casey.
Yeah, hilarious. Okay, I actually think that was Andrew's point
What is
about
the problem
the
here?
Mississippi education rates, but I still stand by, like, I think that, look, I'm in Oklahoma. It's like, I think 50.
Are you guys having trouble on the Rumble side?
Education, and
Or no?
there's also, we've got some economic barriers here that I would love
Okay,
to
we're
fight
good?
against.
All right.
But the result of a lack of literacy and a lack of education, I'm not calling everyone stupid, but what happens is there is a systemic incentive on behalf of a capitalist exploitative nature to then go into those communities, my communities, and profit off of this lack of education. That was my only point.
You got it. This one from Maryland. Backhanded insult toward Andrew says, Casey, you definitely sound like the adult. This one from Big League Drew says, just because this someone is in power doesn't mean they're smarter or even probably smarter. She might let you get away with that BS, but I won't. There are many reasons why someone could be in power.
I agree with that. I think I eventually got there and said that when too much power is consolidated in one person, I mean, either they're born into it or they accumulated it unethically. So
He said, unless you want to admit right here that people like Joe Biden, Kamala, Bush Jr. are smarter than you.
yeah, that's true.
What's that? I'm sorry.
They had said, just because someone is in power doesn't mean they're smarter or even probably smarter. He said, unless you want to admit right here that people like Joe Biden, Kamala, and Bush Jr. are smarter than you.
None of those people are in power. What do you mean? But, I mean, that's a pedantic point, right? But the idea from most conservative think tanks actually is the same exact thing. I don't think that Barack Obama got where he was because he was stupid. And I don't think Kamala Harris got where she is because she was stupid. And she didn't end up becoming the president also because Trump was smarter. The thing is no, I've never thought that leftists got in positions of power because they were stupid. That's insane. And do I think that leftists who are in positions of power are often smarter than people who aren't in positions of power? Yes, I do. And the thing is, that's interesting about this is, yeah, there is studies which will back this up. But it's not just at the governmental level. We're talking about at the local level, too. When it comes to local business owners, people who have a lot of wealth and a lot of money in a localized area and they're expanding on it, they're not dumb people. They're usually smart people. Most people don't work for stupid people. They work for greedy people, but they don't usually work for stupid people.
Well, but I think the commenter was asking, are you recognizing that the people in power right now are smarter than you?
Well, I don't know. Some people would say that I'm in a position of power. But if you're
there are
talking
people
about...
and more power than you.
Yeah, that's true.
Or you think you're the most
I don't
powerful
think it's
person in the
well.
world.
I don't think it's directly scalable that that politicians are smarter than everybody, or that they don't rule over people who are smarter than them. Only that if we're going to take a gradient on the average, that probably politicians and people like this are not in the positions.
smarter than-
Yes, are smarter than
Yeah.
the gradient of the average. Yes.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
This
Yeah.
one
I'm sorry. Do you think? I'm sorry. I just want to make sure that we have this clear. Remember, your argument was that people are really, really smart and just let stupid people rule them because they're so smart. And you think that what I'm saying makes no sense. Okay.
It wasn't my argument, but we can move on.
It was your argument. Directly, that was your argument. You can rewind it when you want. But yes.
Nathan Slippy says, I watched a man weaponize the forms of rational discourse against reason itself. The face of intellectual evil is here. I love how Andrew showed how Casey didn't even believe her own claims when applied equally to both views. Casey, will give you a chance to respond.
A little bit vague, but I think if you're talking about the notion that I think my worldview has plenty of room for Christians, and I don't think Christian nationalism has any room for mine, like, sure.
Somebody said it's not intelligence, it's
You got
nepotism.
this one from.
But I think you have to be
Big
intelligent
Drew
to
says,
practice
Andrew,
nepotism.
What is a solenoid?
It's a button thingy that you push on and stuff.
Gibbon Basher says, what does Andrew think a scientific theory is?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so a scientific theory would be what is considered established consensus science and would be adhered to as though it's factual until replaced with something better.
You got it.
Hang on, did you have anything on that, or did I get that right?
I don't know I don't have the exact description in front of me, but I do think there are more parameters. Like, I think it has to have scope. I think it has to have, like, scope as in boundaries. And I also think it needs to recognize bias and how to answer specific.
He's
I
asking.
think there are more parameters.
He's asking post-established, though, not the establishment.
Okay. Yeah.
You got it. This one from Basil Problem says, Wilson, what programming language did you use to control your robot?
Ladder logic.
Texas Red says, of course, most people.
By the way,
are
I didn't write ladder logic. I worked on the mechanical end of things.
Texas Red says, of course, most people are dumb. There are a ton of commies in the world. Okay. This one, from, if you want to respond, you can. Matt Lionard says, for Malone, At the heart of Christianity is love thy neighbor. How would that be bad for the United States?
So as I've said repeatedly, it's not that I care about the Christian ethos as a concept. I care about the application of it. So if love your neighbor looks in practicality like, once again, everyone having equal access to, or a fairer, we got to that point, a fairer access to the distribution of resources, great. No concept. That's not what Christian nationalism is talking about, though. The base of Christian nationalism is not love thy neighbor.
This
Yeah,
one
I
from
mean,
Fact.
I think it is. So, I don't want this to go unchallenged. So, this is often something which is tried to use to bludgeon Christians. No, it's not that we don't love our neighbor. It's that we have completely different worldviews on what that looks like. The idea that we can uplift people, and that people also need to help themselves, and that it's a loving thing to not. It's just like we go out and feed wild animals, right? You don't do that because they become dependent. It's the same exact thing here. The best thing you can do if you love a person is allow them to succeed. And the thing is like, that's going to be done through marriage. This idea that you have to just kind of like endlessly sacrifice everything that you have for the guy next to you who refuses to change in any capacity is absurd. Yeah, but that's what love your neighbor. What do you mean when you say love thy neighbor then? What does that even mean? Like, I just have to give him everything I got? Like, what do you think that means
I
exactly?
did not argue that at all, but I think that it's a bit circular. We've been talking about this, but like if we're talking about the actual representation of the collective will being love thy neighbor through government, then that when we talk about trickle down, like it's not going to have to come from your literal neighbor's pocket, right? Like there are plenty of resources in the hands of a few. It would be great if, and some of them have. Like, I'm pretty sure there are, like, one-off stories of random millionaires, billionaires being like, I'm giving it all away, da-da-da-da. Great. Maybe we need to focus on them more collectively, because according to both you and me, I consider that to be the most ethical way to have wealth. And then that would be the love, feed the poor Christian ethos, and they do it willingly. So maybe what we need to do is collectively focus on celebrating them instead of tearing each other
Well,
apart.
then we should start with your side giving as much to charitable organizations as our side does, so that we know you're serious about that whole voluntary part.
This one coming. If you want to respond, you can.
No. I'm good.
This one from Pseudonym. So they say, so the topic is, quote, is Christian nationalism bad for America? If you think about it and research, moderator, this country was built by deists. Andrew, do you agree or disagree? Use an argument, not denomination.
Yeah, it wasn't built by deists. It's true that there was a lot of founders who were deists, but there was a lot who weren't. The Constitution itself, though, had thousands of contributors, and most of them weren't deists, so it's just factually not true.
You got it. This one from Matt Lionheart says, for Malone. Got that one. Fat Junior Roll says, Andrew, are you going to heavily curb immigration? If so, how do you deal with the labor shortage problems in the future with the U.S. having low birth rates? Thanks for hosting.
You increase the birth rate. That's what you do. You offer incentivizations for the increase of birth rate by utilizing top-down propaganda like other nations have done, which has worked to some effect. We could do it even better here. So the thing is like this idea that we have to endlessly import people because we can't even sustain our own society is insane. We're not going to have a society if we continue that.
You got it. This one, do appreciate it. Angle of Elevation says, when secularists talk about my rights, it's actually them crying about they need more privilege to deny everyone else rights.
No, this is what we were kind of talking about earlier with, we kind of like veered off into power, but I think Andrew even recognized that a lot of like rights movements are predicated on the unequal distribution of power. And so, and what that actually ends up looking like is the people with less power have to do more work on behalf of people in power. So a lot of like assertions for rights is like, hey, I want to be doing less of your responsibilities, and less, and that's just what it looks like. That's what it ends up looking like on like literal individual interactions. If that answers that.
But in truth, what happens is, while I agree it's justified by saying this isn't very fair, what it actually is it's a displacement model almost every single time. It's not that they want to be equal with you, it's that they want to take over what you have. So like kings who are displaced, they're displaced by other kings. Politicians who are displaced, they get another person gets put in charge of the political operation. When you see, when these communist revolutions happen, what do you end up with? You end up getting rid of whoever the king was for now a petty dictator. It's like they don't actually equalize anything. All that happens in the power distribution is they just want what you fucking got, and they'll take it by any means necessary.
This one coming in from, do appreciate your question. First Wizard says, W. Stay Andrew and the Crucible crew, COVID was entirely totalitarian, and I'm sure this lady loved it. Casey, is this true? They say if she's a hypocrite. Whoa! They say also doesn't know what a solenoid is. Fallacy. LOL.
Yeah, that's tricky. If the question was if I loved COVID, no, I didn't really love COVID. I thought it was pretty difficult for a lot of us.
No, they was asking if you love the mask mandates.
Did I love the mask mandate? I had no problem with wearing a mask to.
Yeah. What
keep
about the
everyone else
mandate
safe.
though? The mandate.
Yeah, I had no problem with it because I'm actually people first, and I wanted everyone to be well.
Yeah. So it's fine to use the authoritarian government for values that you care about.
Well, again, yeah, health is a priority to me.
Yeah,
too.
I know. The authoritarian government's fine as long as it's in your hands.
Quick housekeeping thing. Folks, if you didn't know, we have channel memberships. Check our channel memberships out. Click the join button. You can see the 3 options you have. As you can see at the bottom right of your screen, we have some juicy old school debates, one of which was Andrew Wilson sparring with Alex Stein long ago. Milo Yiannopoulos, Stefan Molyneux, Nick Fuentes. A lot of old controversial debates that are our members only list. If you sign up at the debater level, you can watch all of them. There's over 350. Check out our channel memberships. This next question coming from Pseudonym says, if you think about no one can go back to topic, EZ. Okay, I don't know. Matthew B says, Casey seems to obsess over, quote, everyday anxieties, unquote, with no clear solution aside from forcing people to hand over their stuff to anyone misfortunate. Big L.
Yeah, I don't think I advocated for that. I was talking about structural differences. Nobody was advocating for taking anything away from the everyday person. I was talking about
Where's it going to come from?
about taxing wealthier people more. We, I think, agreed on maybe not spending so much on the military-industrial complex. So that's a lot of money already right there, and it would not require taking from the
Now
people.
she's talking crazy.
Well, I actually hope that that you do take some things away from this debate. I think that I don't think that you're a stupid person. I think that you're a person who can intake new information, and I think that you really just need to focus on one thing, which is why your worldview is the way it is. I would just focus on how power distribution actually works with authority, because it's what's missing, and it's why your whole worldview, I think, is skewed. That's what I think.
This one from, I want to give you a response, Casey, if you have them. Feel free to just assert, like just push into it with a response if you want. Otherwise, I'm going to go to the next question. Chaw XD says, hey Casey, if a group of secular people decided they wanted to enforce a worldview that mapped onto Christian nationalism exactly, so it's kind of like Christian nationalism, but they're like, but we follow all this, they'd be justified in taking power.
So this goes back to, I think that, because I stated in my opening statement that I think my real enemy is the system of capitalism, and under that system, the corporations and the billionaires who are actually making the decisions about you and me, commenter, they actually would not care if atheism or Christianity had the 51% majority. The problems would still exist, and so that question, I think, is kind of moot.
Now, there's no way to prevent that in direct democracy. You can't prevent people in a direct democracy from utilizing funding for the purposes of political power as long as the majority vote for it. That's the whole prize. It's just one contradictory system upon the next contradictory system.
I agree that capitalism is contradictory, And I think
No,
that
democracy mixed with your idea of socialism is
democracy mixed with
contradictory.
capitalism, totally.
No, just period with socialism. The idea that you can stop people from democratically.
Socialism is inherently democratic.
No, listen, it's
Yeah,
not
it is.
inherently democratic. No, nothing is inherently
is.
democratic. Nothing is. Nothing. You can have
Okay.
socialism under a king. Why couldn't you?
This one from Gibbon Basher says all secularists are non-religious. Tell that to the founding fathers. This one from, I think it was for you, Casey, but I'm not sure.
Oh, I thought that was for Andrew because he was the one who defined secularist. So,
You might be right.
yeah.
What was the question?
He said all secularists are non-religious. Tell that to the founding fathers.
Yeah, the
Andrew
founding.
then corrected himself.
Yeah, but it's not just that. The founding fathers themselves had no problem with state institution of religion. That was a compromise which was made in order to reconcile the Articles of Confederation. That's it. So, like, you don't even know what you're fucking talking about. They weren't antithetical to states having religions at all. Jefferson was later, that's true, because he was a deist, but ultimately, no, they didn't care. In fact, states themselves, in order to hold office, you had to swear that you were a Christian of a certain denomination, in fact, inside of states, even after the Constitution was ratified for many, many, many
Right.
years. So it's like, no, it's not the case. If it is the case that definitionally that's what you're using for secularists,
They don't
fine.
learn this in
But like,
school, though.
secularism itself definitionally has changed. Secular humanism, secular atheism, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's always identified with those who want to separate themselves from religion. And the thing is like, and usually why do they want to do that? Well, because they don't like it. That's why.
This one coming in from Matt says, where do sends questions to? Super chats? Yes. Given Basher, Matt's trolling me. Caleb Robinson says, Christianity pulled the world out of human sacrifice, child rape, cannibalism, and poverty. Secularism is sending us back to the Dark Ages at a rapid pace. No objective moral framework to live life. Easy, my guess is you disagree.
Totally. I would actually, first of all, the Dark Ages were specifically dark because there was too much religious authoritarianism, so that's tricky in the first place. Second of all, the notion that this is what I was getting at earlier in my opening statement. I don't think that it was specifically a book called the Bible that brought us collectively to, this is interesting, brought us collectively to more moral stances, such as no more human sacrifice or whatever else you said. First of all, I think that's great because you're recognizing that the fluidity of when the originality of Christianity, Christian culture and ethics were established has shifted in the past 2,000 years and has pulled us out, as you say. I would say it didn't pull us out. I think that people and evolution pulled us out of that as we became more aware, as we became more connected and understanding and educated, etc. So there's that.
No, we had the Dark Ages because it was post-Rome and we lost a lot of the technology from Rome. And that's what led to the Dark Ages. It wasn't because of Christianity. Christianity, in fact, in the Byzantine Empire was extraordinarily thriving. Like, it's just silly, right? What happened is when this technology was lost, they lost a lot of the idea for the capacity for a lot of, and I'm not just talking about basic technologies as far as hammering steel and things like this. They lost basic philosophies as well. It wasn't because of Christianity. Catholicism ran the world forever and ever and ever, and under Catholicism it ran great, and under Catholicism at certain times it did not run great. But most of Europe was run by Catholicism. The Dark Ages was a small time in history based specifically around a loss of technology, not because of Christianity.
I mean, my points still stand that it wasn't, I'm not saying, I don't think that it was a book that pulled us out of any Dark Ages period. I think it was people came together, collectively agreed that these values are going to be more moral than the ones from the past, and I don't think that has anything to do with a book.
Yeah, well, I think it does, because
This one from
that's where we get universal ethics, though, right? Like, that's where the idea of universal ethics came from. The idea that the Roman gods were just for the Romans, and the Greek gods were just for the Greeks, as opposed to we now have a universal collective for ethics that everybody can share. Yeah,
This one from Pat M says, one can know absolute truth, selfless beingness. Absolute truth is that which is always true. That which is, I am, aka the God/truth, these secular humanists use to justify their ego's worldview.
I mean, that was lovely poetic rhetoric that I'm not sure really even reflects what I was talking about. But okay.
Riley English says, Casey, where does your moral standard come from?
That's a good question. I think that a collective perspective, like I've been talking about, which focuses on our connectivity and shared humanity, and not just this, well, I'm an individual and therefore I need to put my needs first, X, Y, and Z. But from a collective standpoint, which is what I've been talking about, I would therefore say that I get my morality by the cultural dominance around me. I mean, that's kind of what we've been talking about, and that's the point that I've been proving, is that morality is not this universal, easily dictated from a divine authority kind of concept. It is a collectively agreed upon concept.
Right, unless you disagree with the collective concept, and then it's immoral. So really, your morality is just based on one thing: my preferences.
No Way Asway 1988 says, how do we get rich people to pay if they say no, Casey?
Yeah, we kind of already addressed this. So really what I'm trying to do here is talk about the actual issues that I think are at play. And again, if we had this collective movement toward what apparently seem to be what are claimed to be Christian ethics, which is to feed the poor and love thy neighbor, then I don't understand why it's on me to answer that. It should be, honestly, that should be a question to Andrew.
This one from Matt.
What, hang on. Well, I mean, I'll answer it. I don't think that you taking every single dime from every single billionaire in the United States into poverty, you tax them into poverty, and they can no longer produce any wealth with wealth, would in any way, shape, or form even touch the issue. If you distributed every billionaire's money equally among all 330 million people in the United States, right, it would be gone in a few months, guarantee it, and you would be right back to square one, because wealth has to continuously generate. And so it just exacerbates the problem. It's a silly idea, and it always has been.
This one from Matt says, Casey, I hire a lot of people. Those that hold your worldview tend not to hold a job very long. Not because they're incapable, but because they tend not to understand their own responsibility to themselves. How do you keep people productive?
Sorry, guys. I don't know why the...
I think there is an
I don't know why
interesting
OBS keeps
meaning
dropping out. I don't
crisis,
know why.
That a lot of people, I mean, you know, Christian nationalists and secular leftists or whatever would kind of attack the problem differently. But the reality is there is kind of a meaning crisis. There is a very real, honestly, like, internal anxiety about why we're all contributing to a society that is decimating the planet, why we are doing jobs that seem very performative and not based in actual meaning and community and bettering our community. I maintain that I think people, I trust people enough to know that they find value in being there for others and participating in something that's meaningful and fulfilling. And when you're kind of aware of all of these really real, again, issues going on with a system that isn't serving everyone, it's really hard to continue participating in it. That's kind of what I would say.
Do you say you trust people enough? Do you trust men?
I trust men.
Okay, then why don't you move a bunch of homeless men in your house?
That's totally irrelevant.
No. I mean, here's why.
Well,
no.
Do you trust men?
No, I don't trust random strangers.
Do you trust women? Do you trust anyone? Okay, that's not what you asked. You asked if I trust men as a concept.
Yeah.
I don't trust random strangers. Those are two totally
Right,
different
and
things.
why those? Right, because you don't trust the intentionality is always going to be good towards you, And the reason that's the reason. That's the
wasn't-
reason that the
that has
idea.
nothing to do with people
But
going
it
to their
is.
9
It's
to
it's
5.
the exact reason why the
No,
idea
I
of
trust
collective.
people. I said I
Let me
trust
make the
people to
point
know
and
what
then
they want for
respond.
themselves.
Let me make
but
the
you're
point
not,
and
but
respond.
You're not, you're
It's
making
my
the
point. It's my point. I get to make it, not
Okay,
your
I didn't
point.
mean to upset
So
you.
the thing is like the whole idea here, the whole reason that you won't move a bunch of strangers into your house is because you don't trust them. Because trust has to be established first, and that's what we want from you. You want us to trust you to rule? We want to trust your ideas? Then you have to establish trust first. And you guys haven't done that with us. So you don't get to rule shit. And that's how it's going to work from now on. We don't trust any of you. You haven't established it. So you don't get to rule anything because when we've given it to you, all we've gotten is OnlyFans girls shoving shit up their ass at 18 years old. That's what we get
All
from
you've
your
got.
side.
That's all you've got.
Well, I'm sorry
Okay.
that mass degeneracy didn't come from my side.
It seems to. Okay.
This one
I'm good.
from Peter White Jr. says, question for Casey. Under your worldview, all past people, like the Bronze Age people or Native Americans who struggled to survive every day, all must have been mentally ill because of worrying about surviving.
I don't know if I would argue that they were like worrying about surviving as much. They didn't have as many luxuries as we have here, and unfortunately, with the way that things have escalated, and we're just so comfortable, and we're reliant on even air conditioning and heating. I mean, we're just like physiologically adjusted to this reality of comfort, and we couldn't easily survive, quote unquote, in the wild like our ancestors could. So I don't really know if that's a fair comparison, because they were pretty much doing just fine. But I also, you know, I also did make the point that when as time goes on, as evolution goes on, we've become more aware, we've become more
Come out of
educated,
compass.
we've become more conscious. So it's like I don't really think that our ancestors have anything to do with what you're saying.
You got it. This one from JJK says, first it's the rich, then it's your next target.
I pretty much focused on the rich. I would argue that Christian nationalists changed their targets from secularists to feminists to gay people the whole time.
Nope, we don't change the targets. They're all targets. So the whole idea
Okay,
is that
so
all of
yeah.
them, we want to push all of them out. They're all under the same leftist framework. And the idea is that, yes, we are dynamically opposed to the degenerate creation machine that is known as modern-day leftism. And the fact of the matter is that they've had their chance to govern us many, many times, and they blew it. And so now you see what's moving in the fabric of the country, and there's a lot of panic. These guys might get into power now. It's like, well, you blew it. You blew it.
This one coming in from Do Appreciate It. Chase K says, under a secular society, how does the pubid teacher teach children how to treat one another without coercion, while morals and ethics are also, quote, social cohesion?
Are we assuming that meant public teacher?
Public education, yeah. I'm more
Totally.
bad.
So if the question is how do we have a public education system? I mean, if we're looking at the public education system right now, by the way, James, I think I've got 10 more minutes. If we're looking at the public education system right now, that one, I honestly, I don't know if I've worked out where I'm at with how the public education system works. I know, Andrew, you're probably a lot more well versed on your own thoughts about this, but if you're talking about forcing teachers to teach an agreed upon curriculum, I mean, honestly, like, why can't we just start there and yeah, that's all I've got.
Because we don't agree on the curriculum. But the thing is like, James,
But
for
there
the
are
purpose.
things we do agree on, is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Like,
but
there are plenty of things we do agree on.
if we could just
Why can't we at least start
agree,
there?
if we could just agree on reading, writing, arithmetic, and nothing else, that would be great. But it's never the right who's pushing in all of the, no, we have to aggrandize LGBTQ inside school systems. That's always leftists who make those demands every single time. Thing is, it's funny here is like when it comes to the dogmatic belief structure, you could say, well, the Christians want to teach the Bible. It's like, well, they're both dogmas. So it's like, take your choice of which one you'd rather have your kid read about. Now, James, I mean, for the purpose of time, she has to leave. Can we do closing statements?
I'm okay with that if you guys are. You guys cool with like a
Yeah, just a
2 minutes.
yeah,
5
just a
minutes.
quick closing statements for both, so that she has an opportunity, because she gets to go last, right? Because she opened first. So that seems like a good opportunity for her to address things that I've said or not said. Right?
You guys are both like that. It's
Yeah.
open to you guys.
Yeah, so anyway, my opponent tonight, she was a contradiction machine. That's it. She just contradicted almost everything that she said. And she contradicted herself in so many ways, it was actually hard to keep count, but I'll try to give you a quick summary. She said Christians, they're the ones who are currently in charge of the entirety of the nation. We caught her in a contradiction there. She claims that her kind of socialist utopian worldview and idealism is what we should be moving towards. But then when I ask her, well, okay, well, how come we can't even get your side to give contributions voluntarily now? No answer. When it came to power dynamics, she admitted it is about power dynamics, and she wants power for the force of her view. She keeps trying to walk that back, and then tries to push it forward, and then walk it back, and then push it forward. But the truth is, she knows, I know, everybody knows at this point, that what they want is they want power to enforce their view, and they're upsetty spaghetti that we also want power to enforce our view. For some reason, they think that our view is not to be enforced. They're the only ones who have the moral capacity in order to, what did she say? Allow Christians to be Christian. And yet here, where she claims the entirety of the government is Christian and she's a secularist, she's allowed to exist just fine. Total contradiction in worldview, right? Total contradiction in worldview. So over and over again, I've caught her in these with her own worldview, and her attacks on Christianity were just silly. We got into force doctrine, she ended up agreeing with me. We get into rights, she ends up agreeing with me. When we get into ethics, she doesn't even have a problem with Christian ethics. Her whole mode here has nothing to do with Christian nationalism itself, even. Her whole mode actually is that she has an issue, that she thinks Christian nationalists are going to allow you millionaires out there to keep your money. That's what she's actually mad at. When you reduce her whole worldview, the whole thing was just, I'm upsetty spaghetti that if Christian nationalists get in, they're not going to tax all the rich and give it to a bunch of poor people who I think deserve a bunch of stuff. That's really the whole reduction. It's not really an issue with the ethics. It's not really an issue with us trying to stop exploitation. Not really an issue with any of those things. It's just the idea, oh, Christians will let you keep your money and will allow meritocracy so that you can work your way up the ladder like everybody else has to. And on top of that, the most liberating kind of economic system which has ever existed is capitalism. Now, crony capitalism's bad, sure, but capitalism itself, no fucking way. There's no nation that doesn't practice it that's doing well for a reason. It's because access to capital is what allows people to grow rich, wealthy, bring their families out of poverty, and I want to see that for every human being. She doesn't. She wants to see the people who are up here get brought down here artificially because they deserve it.
We'll jump over to Casey for her closing as well. Casey, the floor is all yours.
Thank you again. Modern day debate. There's a couple things I want to point out. First of all, my opponent did not even mention that last statement that he had there in his closing statement about wanting everyone to be fed and safe and healthy. Didn't bring that up until I did tonight. I started this with an opening statement about whether Christian nationalism is bad for America, and I stand by that. Yeah, it is. Not just because it redirects us away from the actual core issues that I harped on over and over again, talking about, first of all, I wasn't attacking Christianity at all. I wasn't attacking everyday Christians at all. That's not accurate.
Didn't I literally just say that?
If anyone was doing attacking, I'm pretty sure
Didn't I literally just say she doesn't
that
actually have
my
a problem with
opponent was attacking
Christianity?
me, and that was, I'm going to give it a solid 20 to 30% of his entire argument was belittling me, saying, well, the adults are in the room. Well, when you grow up, that, to be fair,
Not
to
a
be
single
nice,
personal
that
attack.
might be unprofessional at
Not a
best,
single personal attack.
and just ignorant at worst. I think that the everyday, the people viewing this right now, I think people in this country, I don't think most of you guys are dumb. I think that you guys have very real and fair, value that you contribute to society just by participating in it, and two,
Nobody disagreed with
very
that
real
either.
needs that are not being met. And I am here trying to focus on that. And all of these other external, like, well, I'm not an
Yeah,
adult, and
fire.
I don't know what I'm talking about, and I'm too contradictory, still doesn't address the fact that I, Casey Malone, am here to represent the needs of everyday people, and that's what matters to me most. So that, I think, was pretty evident throughout the debate.
Thank you for your closings, both Casey and Andrew, folks.
I wonder why all these smart people need her to represent their worldview.
I'm going to read out your questions. I do want you, even though you won't get a response to them, I know that you guys want your points to be read out loud, to be known. I want to encourage you, our debaters, the people who come here that we get to host are the lifeblood of the channel. Check out their links right now. So they're linked in the description box. What are you waiting for? Even if you disagree with them, there's value to going to their channel, watching their content, because you're getting to hear straight from them what their positions are, rather than what someone is saying their position is, especially if it's someone from your own tribe who might not be as charitable. So there's a reason to check them out, even if you disagree with them. I want to say thank you very much, Casey and Andrew. It's been a true pleasure to host you.
Of course, thank you for having me.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure. I will let you guys go. And folks, check it out. DebateCon. Use that promo code that I had mentioned. That's at the bottom right of your screen. I'll be back to share more about that promo code. You don't want to miss it. It's 25 live, only valid for 72 hours. Check out the DebateCon link in the description box. Look at the tickets. I'll be back in just a moment to share more about that promo code. Thank you, guys. It's been a pleasure to have you. I'll let you go, but I hope you have a great night.
Thank you.
Yeah,
You
thank
too.
you, James.
Take care.
Give me my money. Give me my fucking money. Give me my money. Capitalism, baby.
All right, let's mute this. Gotta mute that. All right. I think that's gonna call it. See you.